Chapter 558. Bordered soil clamored. The wounds on his body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, he went from a sieve full of holes to a freak full of patches. Seeing this, many people were worried. The enemy's self-healing ability was so strong. If they wanted to defeat him, it meant that they had to deal more damage than his self-healing speed. However, they didn't know any immortal techniques. Could they really rely on the first generation in that lord? Obito regained his composure and said slowly, "Senjutsu is not my ability to restrain me, but to turn an invalid attack into an effective attack. In this case, it is impossible for the two of you to defeat me." "That makes sense. That's why I've decided to ask for help," Shui Mu said confidently. "Ask for help?" Bordered soil was stunned. Then he saw Shui Mu form a hand seal. Suddenly, a godlike, holy figure appeared behind him. Everyone looked at this scene dumbfounded. What is this? Why do I have the urge to prostrate myself in worship when I look at this light? Just one look and I feel like my soul has been cleansed. Not just them, even Bordered Soil, who considered himself an immortal, felt like his brain wasn't enough to process this. From what he knew, only Corpse Ghost Feng Jin's Grim Reaper's figure was similar to this. However, Corpse Ghost Feng Jin's Grim Reaper definitely couldn't give him this kind of feeling. Is this the power of a god? Garashi sighed. There was no need to mention the immortal mode. He had also used the demon physique many times. However, this was the first time he had truly used the power of a god. Now it seemed that the effect was quite good. He hadn't even used his ability. Just the aura he naturally exuded was enough to affect them. Those who were friendly to him would revere and worship him from the bottom of their hearts, while those who were hostile to him would fear him. Fortunately, Bordered Soil had advanced to the Six Paths Constitution. Otherwise, someone like him, who had a flaw in his soul, would go crazy with just a single mental attack. Bordered Soil frowned. "This is your method? Ridiculous." Garashi ignored him and controlled Shui Mu's body to come in front of Yugo. "Yugo, lend me your body." Although this request was somewhat impolite, Zhongwu agreed without any hesitation as he was bathed in the light of the gods. "Yes." Garashi placed Shui Mu's right hand on Yugo's forehead and dispersed the power of nature from his body. This was one of the results of Aizen's research on Yugo. Green specks of light flew out of Zhongwu's body and fell down like raindrops. Everyone who was hit by the raindrops shuddered as an indescribable power entered their bodies. This seal can allow everyone to obtain the power of an immortal technique for a short period of time. Now you can also participate in the battle. Garashi said loudly. "Curse seal?" Sasuke subconsciously touched the back of his neck, and the curse seal power that was originally removed by his brother returned. "No, it should be more powerful. The Shui Mu is actually... No, this is Garashi-sama's aura?" Sasuke couldn't help but be shocked. Orochimaru spent more than 10 years to develop the curse seal of heaven and earth, but Garashi-sama just casually looked at it and developed a new curse seal. Moreover, the curse seal of heaven and earth placed a great burden on the body. Only Kimimaro could bear the curse seal of earth, and only he and Anko could bear the curse seal of heaven. But what about the curse seal developed by Garashi-sama? Not only was the power contained in it stronger, but there was almost no requirement to bear it. Sure enough, compared to Uchiha Obito, that idiot with nothing but power, Sushi-sama is more like a god. Hearing Garashi's words, everyone in the alliance was excited to test their new power. Even Tobirama was no exception, and after a little test, he sighed. "Is this the power you have, brother? It's really powerful." The real powerful person is the leader of this parallel world. Hashirama couldn't help but exclaim, "He can give everyone the power of Senjutsu, it's unheard of." This bastard actually... Bordered Soil could hardly believe his eyes. "This is Senjutsu? Damn it, then I'll kill you first." Bordered Soil's figure flashed, and he appeared in front of Shui Mu in a flash and swept his staff down. Bordered Soil's speed was indeed fast, and after advancing to the six-path mode, he had already surpassed the limit of human beings. If it was Garashi's body or clone here, then naturally there was no need to worry. But Shui Mu's body was indeed weak, and even if his mind could catch up, it was difficult to control his body to react in time. Fortunately, he had the shadow of God behind him that could disturb the mind of the enemy close to him. Bordered Soil was about to smash the enemy's head with his staff, but suddenly a flash of lightning crossed his mind. "No, this guy looks calm, there must be a trap waiting for me." Thinking of this, Bordered Soil hurriedly retreated. After leaving the circle, Bordered Soil's smart IQ took the high ground again. "That's not right, what calm expression, it's obvious that he didn't react in time, right? Damn it, I was actually fooled by him." Bordered Soil moved forward again, and when he was about to wave his staff, he suddenly froze and the staff stopped in midair. Wait, what was I going to do? Garashi greeted. Hi, how are you? Bordered Soil responded shyly. Hi, hello, do you know why I'm here? Garashi talked nonsense with a straight face. You're lost and you're asking me for directions. You should go straight to the back now. Bordered Soil suddenly understood and hurriedly thanked him. Thank you, you're really a good person. When Bordered Soil turned and left, Garashi immediately ordered, concentrate fire on him. The coalition forces were watching their performance with a stunned face. When they heard Garashi's voice, they quickly combined the power of curses with ninjutsu. Immortal Method, Great Fireball Technique. Immortal Method, Water Dragon Bullet Technique. Immortal Method. After a few steps, Bordered Soil finally reacted, no, I'm obviously going to kill him. Then immortal techniques from all directions drowned him. Seeing poor Bordered Soil being played by Garashi, Madara was shocked. There's something strange about that person, I must not get close to him. Ah! In the dust, Bordered Soil's angry roar came, all of you are going to die. When the voice fell, a towering tree grew wildly from the aftermath of the energy, and the roots like pillars of a mountain plunged into the ground. The people who were waiting excitedly for the result were shocked by the sudden change. What kind of monster is this? It looks like the Jubi but not exactly. Indeed, the Jubi is more like a human and the monster in front of us is a big tree. This is the sacred tree? Garashi was a little surprised. Even for him, it was the first time he saw the full appearance of the sacred tree. Chapter 559. After the God Tree was summoned, the huge roots that originally remained in the ninja world and spread all over the earth quickly responded to it. The chakra in the earth was swallowed by the roots and continuously sent power to the God Tree. Not only that, many roots that were rooted in the surface broke out of the earth, like octopus tentacles, flexibly grabbing the crowd. In this first wave of attack, more than 1/5 of the coalition forces were caught by the roots and began to absorb the chakra. My chakra was sucked away. Damn it, is the end of being sucked to death by this monster? I'm not willing. In these angry and desperate voices, the God Tree's action of absorbing the chakra suddenly stopped and threw the coalition forces that were bound by the roots away, and also shook its hand to show its disgust. Just like in the original manga, when Gekido absorbed Naruto's Senjutsu chakra, there was an adverse reaction. However, the size of the God Tree is much stronger than that of Gekido. Even if it suddenly absorbed so much chakra, it only made it feel a little uncomfortable and nauseous. Garashi secretly thought. Regarding this discovery, he was not surprised. If the God Tree could directly absorb natural energy, Otsutsuki wouldn't have to spend so much effort to spread chakra, and they wouldn't be unable to learn Senjutsu. However, the ability of the God Tree to devour everything is really terrifying. If it doesn't bear fruit in the end, but absorbs the chakra for its own use, it will be a disaster more terrible than Otsutsuki. In Garashi's view, the relationship between Otsutsuki and the God Tree is a bit similar to the relationship between humans and robots in the sci-fi future of his previous life. The God Tree is the most convenient tool in the hands of Otsutsuki. Just like a robot, Otsutsuki controls them through the Rinnegan, but if one day a certain God Tree breaks away from the restrictions of the Rinnegan, even the God Tree can't absorb the chakra in their bodies? Bordered Soil frowned slightly but soon relaxed. It doesn't matter, as long as the chakra scattered in all corners of the world can be recovered, their chakra is not worth mentioning at all. The allied army also calmed down from their initial panic. Wave after wave of immortal spells were hurled at the Bordered Soil and the Divine Tree. However, when their attacks landed on the Divine Tree, they didn't even leave a single burn mark. Not only that, the blossoming flower of the Divine Tree continued to gather energy, and a super large Bijidama shot towards the allied army. The more sensitive a ninja is, the more they can perceive the terrifying energy contained in this Bijidama. What the hell? This kind of energy level attack? Tobirama cursed in a low voice. He quickly moved the huge Bijidama to the surface of the sea, but even so, the aftershock from the sea still blew many people away. Bordered Soil sneered as he dodged the attacks. Don't even think about it. It's impossible for you to stop the Divine Tree with your strength. Stopping you is the same. As the commander of the coalition forces, Rakage shouted, concentrate your firepower and kill him. Immortal technique, Wood Escape, True Thousand Hands. Curse Seal, Flame Escape, Earth Life. Hashirama's Thousand Hand Buddha and Sasuke's Susanoo acted as the frontline attack, chasing after Bordered Soil like swatting flies. Curse Seal, 5 Release, Great Bullet Technique. Curse Seal, Water Release, Hard Whirlpool Water Blade. Curse Seal, Lightning Release, Lightning Abuse Level. A group of Kage tier ninjas acted as the support, attacking from the side, chasing after bordered soil. Before the attack of Senjutsu Chakra, the deterrence of Truth-Seeking Ball was greatly reduced, and bordered soil couldn't ignore their attacks. Humph. I actually let you guys find some opportunity, but I won't give you any more hope. As Obito said these words, a strange long sword appeared in his hand. It looked like a spiral and it looked like it was made of DNA. This sword is the sword of the heart that the immortal of the six paths used to create this world, Heavenly Swamp Spear. And I will use it to destroy this world. With that, Obito swung the Heavenly Swamp Spear at the Buddha statue. Although the sword of DNA seemed a little uncoordinated, its power was unparalleled. A single sword strike had destroyed more than half of the Buddha statue's body. Not only did it cut off this part of the Buddha, but it also cut off its life force. Hashirama's expression was solemn. His would release had a strong life force, not to mention the power of Senjutsu. Logically speaking, even if it was cut off, it should be able to recover quickly, but that wasn't the case. Hashirama controlled half of the Buddha to dodge the attack, and muttered in his heart, as expected of the world created by Rikudu Sennin. Sasuke drew his bow and shot a huge arrow with black flames and curses at bordered soil. However, bordered soil only casually swung the Sky Swamp Spear, and the arrow was cut into nothingness. Not only that, but the other Kages also fled under the might of the sword. After using the Sky Swamp Spear to temporarily turn the situation around, bordered soil couldn't help but speak again. This sword represents the emptiness in my heart. Now, you should be able to understand a little of my pain, right? It is indeed very strong, the soul sword. Garashi watched from a distance. In the original trajectory, it was Naruto's mouth that made his heart waver, shaking his determination to destroy the world, which made the Sky Swamp Spear shatter on its own. Although I can't do it to Naruto's level, it's not only the mouth that can shake the heart. Thinking of this, Garashi controlled Mizuki's body to sneak up. However, just as he started to move, bordered soil turned around with a ferocious expression. You think I will ignore your existence? Humph, don't even think about getting close to me. So cautious? This won't be easy. Garashi stopped and asked with a smile, by the way, you said you are a god, right? Of course I am a god. Bordered soil said without hesitation. Then it's easy. Garashi smiled, let me help you experience the hardships of a god in advance. Oh, what did you say? Bordered soil was confused. Suddenly, countless consciousnesses poured into his mind. God, please give me 10. No, please give me 100 wives. God, please let the war end. Damn God, did you hear that? F*CKU, 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 F*CK God? It was as if there were 100 million mosquitoes buzzing in his ears. Obito frantically grabbed his hair, and even broke the horns on his forehead. Seeing bordered soil's miserable state, Garashi also felt distressed. Teisuke, you need to be careful. People's prayers to God were equivalent to dialing a number. In the past, God's account was an empty number, so naturally there would be no response. Bordered soil's identity as a god was equivalent to turning an empty number into a real number. The reason why it was not affected before was that it lacked a network cable. And his role now was to act as the network cable, connecting the data to bordered soil's account. Chapter 560. The Alliance Army's eyes widened, and some of them couldn't understand. That person only said a few words and he made Obito, who was almost a god, go crazy. How did he do it? In addition to worship and awe, they couldn't help but feel a sense of fear. Even Madara's heart was full of fear. Fortunately, I didn't do it in advance, otherwise I might be the one who went crazy now. Obito vented his anger as he grabbed the Heavenly Swamp Spear and slashed at his surroundings. Because there was no pattern to his moves, everyone around him tried to stay away from him. At this time, in Bordered Soil's chaotic mind, Rin's voice suddenly sounded. Bordered Soil, Bordered Soil. Hearing Rin's voice, Bordered Soil's eyes were bloodshot, as if he hadn't slept for 10 days and 10 nights. He roared, "Ha! Don't think you can beat me like this." Seeing Bordered Soil break free from his madness after suppressing the Jubi's consciousness, everyone was shocked. What a strong belief. He's worthy of being the one behind the scenes who led the current situation. This is a man who has carried out his own ninja path. Hashirama couldn't help but sigh, I just don't know what his ninja path is. Suigetsu smiled. His ninja path seems to be love. Hashirama nodded again and again. Sure enough, he also loves this world deeply. Yugo scratched his head in confusion. Is the first Naruto's understanding of love the same as Suigetsu's? It's not over yet. Bordered Soil roared, and suddenly he spat out a big mouthful of blood. He looked down in disbelief at the palm that penetrated his chest, and then turned his head stiffly. Black Setsu. What? Didn't they say one world, one dream? Because the preparation work hasn't been completed yet. Black Setsu sighed in his heart, but his mouth was smiling. Sorry, Madara-sama is the one who will become a god. Bordered Soil still couldn't understand. It's the infinite Tsukuyami, does it matter who uses it? Of course there is a difference. What Madara-sama wants to create is an ideal world without war and absolute peace. If you carry it out, it may become a world of love where even the sun in the sky is Rin. Black Setsu said and turned into a pool of black mud attached to Bordered Soil. Now it's time for you to repay Madara-sama. Everyone in the alliance was shocked by this sudden turn of events and collectively fell into a state of paralysis. Obito, who suppressed the Jubi and fought against the Mad Demon, was finally killed by his own people. Without waiting for them to react, a blazing white pillar of light suddenly Madara. Reincarnation of the heavenly reincarnation. After the resurrection, Madara did not hesitate at all. He took back his power from Obito at the fastest speed and completed the transformation. Boom. An incomparably powerful power erupted from Madara's body, shocking the world. Is this the power of the six paths? Madara closed his eyes and sighed. He still underestimated the power of the Jubi's Jinchuriki. If it weren't for the fact that Bordered Soil's mind was severely damaged, even if he had the talisman to control the Bordered Soil's heart, he might not be able to retrieve this power. Speaking of which, I really want to thank you. Madara looked at the coalition forces, especially Mizuki, who had Garashi's shadow behind him. These people could defeat Bordered Soil, who was transformed into a god, which was something he didn't expect before. Hashirama strode out and shouted with a straight face. Madara, sure enough, you're behind this. Madara took off Bordered Soil's eyes and put them in his eye sockets. Of course it's me. Who else has this kind of ability besides me? Are you proud of scheming against your own people? Hashirama sneered. It's because you look down on others and regard your companions and people as tools that no one was willing to leave with you. Enough. Madara was poked in the wound and he lost his composure. Everyone will die and all the good things will eventually become memories. The more feelings you put in, the more pain you will eventually reap. It's better to cut off the fetters from the beginning, Reikage said coldly. Hurry up, I'm not here to listen to your heart. Madara's mouth twitched slightly. What does he mean by heart? Does this illiterate man know how to talk? Let's call it a day. Before figuring out why Bordered Soil suddenly went crazy and finding a solution, he didn't intend to fight with that man for the time being. Of course, if he said this, it would make him seem timid, so he definitely couldn't say it out loud. Therefore Madara said in a flat tone. You fought with Bordered Soil and I won't take advantage of you. I'll give you a chance to take a break and let you see the world for the last time. You're so kind? Hashirama looked incredulous. Are you afraid of what happened to Bordered Soil, and you're going to go back and find a solution secretly? What a joke. Does Bordered Soil's will deserve to be compared with mine? Madara snorted. Enjoy the last 3 days. After that, he reabsorbed the tree back into his body, and then he launched Kamui and sucked all 3 of them into the space. When the 3 left, there was a commotion in the crowd. Is the final battle in 3 days? Is it finally going to be a decisive battle? When this war is over, I will retire from being a ninja. Haha, I'm still waiting to go back to attend my daughter's wedding after the war. Because of Bordered Soil's poor performance, everyone was not too worried about the final battle in 3 days. Even they were looking forward to it. Just as Garashi was about to release the body, Sasuke came over and asked. Garashi-sama, how is Naruto? Can he catch up with the final battle? Garashi smiled. Don't worry, his foundation is very good, and with my treatment he will recover in 1 day at most. That's good. Sasuke's mouth rose slightly. The battle without that guy always feels boring. The final battle in 3 days? On the other side, Reikage rubbed his fist and looked in a certain direction. Speaking of which, it seems that there is still some work to be done in this war? Reikage's eyes widened. What's with that look? A said loudly. Dad, I decided not to seal you first. Let's fight a few more times. Just as a training before the final battle, don't think too much about it. Reikage, $#, in the Kamui space. Black Setsu put down the dying Bordered Soil and asked. Madara-sama, do you want Kabuto continue to harass them in these 3 days? However, Madara did not speak, just looked at him with calm eyes. Black Zetsu was scared and asked tentatively. Madara-sama? What's wrong with you? Madara narrowed his eyes. Putting aside the Edo Tensei for the time being, I have a question now. As my consciousness, how did you break the body of 6 paths with your palm? Chapter 561. Black Zetsu was shocked. When did Madara become so sensitive? He said aggrievedly, it's just reaching out. And isn't this what Madara-sama asked me to do? Reaching out? Madara's face was gloomy. Yes, I did ask you to do this, but this is because I misjudged the power of 6 paths before. Now, I myself have the body of 6 paths. No one knows the strength of this body better than me. How can you break his defense? Damn, shouldn't I succeed? Black Zetsu scolded in his heart and his little brain worked quickly. I think this is because, no need to explain. Madara said in a deep voice, the simplest way to judge whether you have been replaced is to let you return to your body as my consciousness. If you can return completely, it proves that I think too much, if not, hee. Hearing Madara's gloomy laughter, Black Zetsu's heart trembled, and he simply spread out his hands. You can see it, Madara-sama. As for my identity, don't try to weave any lies, your identity has been seen through by me. Madara said with certainty. You are the one who exchanged eyes with bordered soil, right? To be precise, he took the opportunity to replace Black Zetsu's consciousness when he traded with bordered soil. Black Zetsu's eyes widened. Seeing the shocked look on Black Zetsu's face, Madara smiled contemptuously and continued to enjoy the pleasure of reasoning. You can break Obito's 6 paths body because of those eyes, right? You used Rinnegan Aishidao to wake up bordered soil's mind and let him take the initiative to let go of his defense. As for giving up the power of 6 paths, it should be that your body is not in a good state, and it is difficult to suppress the consciousness of the Jubi, so you let me temporarily replace it. Moreover, you are also afraid of the power of those ninjas. You want to wait for me to clear the obstacles and then use your hand to pick the peach. If I continue to use this eye, the next person you reach out to will be me. You inferred the right answer from a completely wrong direction. What a logic ghost. Black Zetsu sighed. Sure enough, the biggest difference between you and bordered soil is IQ. I can control him, but I can't control you at all. Don't think that I will let you go if you flatter me. Madara snorted. Tell me your identity. Now, I won't hide it from you. Black Zetsu said. Yes, I am your uncle. Madara's eyes were cold. What? It's true, Black Jew said. In terms of bloodline, he's your ancestor. Then, before Madara's attack, Black Zetsu quickly told his story. However, he changed from Kagaya's consciousness from Kagaya's consciousness. Madara frowned and didn't believe him. What evidence do you have for what you said? Black Zetsu say, you are not the best? Do you really think that evolving the Rinnegan is your own effort? You are indeed a genius, but the world is not short of geniuses. The reason why you are special is that you are the reincarnation of the Six Paths Sage's son. Also, why did you and Hashirama go from being good friends to opposing each other? It's because of your own destiny. Indra was dissatisfied with his father's favoritism to his younger brother. He cursed himself that the reincarnation of Chakra would always be entangled with his younger brother until the end of the world. Madara didn't care about anything else, but when he heard the last sentence, he narrowed his eyes. According to you, I should be Hashirama's brother? I said so much and you only heard this? You deserve it. Black Zetsu said in his heart. With the Six Paths Sage's favoritism to his youngest son, you are destined to fail. Wait, you said the Six Paths Sage is still alive? Madara's face changed slightly. Dead. But for people in his field, death is just another form of existence. Black Zetsu continued, for you, as the Jubi's Jinchuriki, this should not be difficult to understand, right? Madara nodded. Indeed, he now felt that he could live forever. But I don't understand, since he is alive, why doesn't he stand up to end the chaos? With his power, no one can oppose him, right? Black Zetsu sneered. He thinks that peace won by force and fear is not real peace. Madara said coldly. No matter how fake peace is, it is 10,000 times better than real war. Moreover, as long as he can exist forever, he can maintain the fake peace all the time, right? Black Zetsu spread out his hands. See, now you can understand why Indra is not favored by the Six Paths, but Azura, who has unrealistic fantasies, can be favored by the Six Paths? The look on Madara's face kept changing, and finally he breathed a sigh of relief. I will verify what you said in person. Black Zetsu didn't expect Madara to believe it so quickly, as long as Madara's idea of father's death, son's laughter, was firm. After all, according to his big brother, the Six Paths will come out in the end. What about you? What's your purpose? Madara's eyes became sharp. Didn't you already infer it before? Black Zetsu sighed. The main body wants you to stand in front and deal with the Six Paths. Madara didn't comment. What's his plan now? Don't you want to verify the answer yourself? After you verify the answer, the main body will naturally appear and deal with the Six Paths with you. Madara squinted. What if he doesn't appear then? Black Zetsu said. The main body's eyes are not in your hands? As long as you crush the eyes as a threat, the main body will naturally appear. Madara's mouth twitched. After cheating his mother, father, and son, is there finally an operation to cheat the main body? Otsutsuki is really a genius. At the same time, in the temporary conference room, Hashirama looked at Tobirama with a worried face. Tobirama, is there really no way to recover your hand? Tobirama said calmly, we are all dead. What do we care about? Yes, we are dead. Hashirama suddenly realized. Tobirama's eyes twitched and he no longer cared about him. He looked at the other people sitting in the conference room. After the enemy was defeated, everyone relaxed a lot, but I think everyone here should be able to see the crisis, right? Anoki nodded. The same Jubi's Jinchuriki, Madara's difficulty is definitely not comparable to the Uchiha bordered soil. Raza's expression was also dignified. The tree absorbed a huge amount of chakra, and after recovering the tree, Madara is closer to perfection. Tobirama took a deep breath. And the most important point is that the Uchiha bordered soil's extra I means that we may still have hidden enemies to deal with. P.S. The chapter in the morning is bad and the chapter in the early morning should be good. Chapter 562. Everyone in the meeting room looked solemn. Indeed, the extra Rinnegan was the key to the problem. After a moment of silence, Empress Shomiai asked, is it possible that they dug out the Rinnegan from a tomb? It's not impossible. Raza said, a lot of history before the Warring States period has been lost. Maybe it's the owner of the Rinnegan from a long time ago. But we must be prepared for the enemy to have the Rinnegan. Hiruzen emphasized. But how should we prepare? Tsunade asked. Only Dojutsu can defeat Dojutsu. Tobirama said, didn't the leader tell us how to advance the Rinnegan? We can let Uchiha Sasuke try. Let Sasuke try to advance the Rinnegan? Tsunade frowned. Is there enough time in 3 days? Whether it's successful or not, at least try. Tobirama continued. And Naruto, he's the only one who can enter Sage mode on his own except for Big Brother, Minato, and Mizuki. In these 3 days I will let Big Brother strengthen him. And we, in addition to familiarizing ourselves with the power of curses, we also have to seal the active Edo Tensei in the modern world to weaken the enemy's strength as much as possible. At this time, Orochimaru suddenly said, it's a pity to seal them, why don't we transform them into our strength? You want to persuade Kabuto? Tsunade frowned. He's indeed your subordinate, but he's also a man full of ambition. It's unlikely that he will continue to listen to your orders. Ambition? Orochimaru licked his lips. You may be mistaken, that child is just a poor man who wants to prove his existence, but lost his way. Hiruzen didn't doubt his ability. Those strong Edo Tensei will only be more dangerous if they're controlled by people like you, right? Orochimaru smiled softly. Is that how Sensei sees me? You really made me your disciple sad. I have ambition, but my ambition is based on reality. Falling into the illusion is not the result I want. Tobirama thought seriously for a moment. Okay, it's up to you. Don't worry. Orochimaru smiled gloomily. Although I'm sure I can persuade that child, I have to see him first. He has a lot of powerful people now. Tobirama naturally understood what he meant. You want to find helpers? Yes. Orochimaru smiled. I think Sasuke and Naruto are very suitable, and don't they also want to talk to some dead people? Tsunade subconsciously refused. No, if they're taken away. Tobirama nodded. Naruto is Kyuubi's Jinchuriki's, Madara's prides, he won't care to them. Tobirama nodded. Yes, with Madara's current vision, only the leader can be valued by him. Even his elder brother may not be in his eyes. Tsunade said hesitantly, but you have to ask for their opinion. Tobirama added, the two of them still have special training. I'll give you a day at most. 1 day's enough. Orochimaru smiled. The most time-consuming part of the capture mission is to find people. With my chakra in Kabuto's body, it's not difficult to find him. Outside. Suigetsu held the back of his head with both hands and complained, in the end you're still excluded. I thought they would consider your opinion. Sasuke looked indifferent. They invited me, but I have no interest in these boring meetings. I'm only loyal to my own strength. Well, it's your style. Suigetsu shrugged. They walked to the temporary hospital and found Naruto's ward. When they went in, they saw Naruto sitting on the bed with his eyes closed. I thought you would be a little decadent for a few days, but now you look much better than I thought. Sasuke raised his eyebrows. Naruto opened his eyes and wasn't excited to see Sasuke. Instead, he said firmly, there's no time to be decadent. I must increase my strength as much as possible and save Kurama. What can you do in 3 days? It's nothing more than seeking psychological comfort. Sasuke said disdainfully, instead of spending time on this, it's better to practice cooperation with me. Naruto's eyes widened. You actually took the initiative to practice cooperation with me? Don't think too much. Sasuke snorted coldly. If it weren't for Garashi-sama saying that the nature of our strength is very suitable and that we can exert more strength together, I wouldn't bother to come to you. Naruto was also proud. In order to save Kurama, I'll reluctantly agree. At this time, Orochimaru's voice came from the door. The tacit understanding of cooperation can only be reflected in actual combat. I happen to have an opportunity here. Suigetsu, standing at the door, was startled by the sudden voice behind him. He hurriedly jumped behind Sasuke and quietly poked his head out. Sasuke, don't believe what he said. He's Orochimaru. Sasuke ignored him. Opportunity? What do you want to say? Orochimaru repeated the conversation in the meeting. How about it? Do you want to come? Sasuke didn't comment and asked other questions. You should be able to use ninjutsu now, right? Orochimaru's eyes narrowed slightly. Yes, when Sama released the souls of the 4 Naruto from Shinigami's body, the souls in my hands also escaped. Sasuke's eyes flashed. Well, help me Edo reincarnate 2 people, and I'll help you deal with Kabuto Yakushi. Orochimaru asked with interest, who do you want me to help you reincarnate? Sasuke put his right hand on the hilt of Kuzunagi's sword at his waist. I want to teach someone a lesson, but my identity and the kindness of being protected by him are destined to prevent me from doing it. Orochimaru instantly understood and couldn't help but clap his hands. That's great, the person you want to teach is the guy who makes me very unhappy. Naruto was confused. Who do you want to reincarnate? Who is the person you want to teach a lesson to? You'll know when the time comes. Orochimaru looked at Naruto with a smile. What about you? Do you have anyone you want to reincarnate? I don't. Wait, I also want to reincarnate 2 people. Naruto shouted. Who do you want to reincarnate? Orochimaru asked with interest. Jiraiya? Naruto nodded. In addition to Jiraiya, sensei, I also want to reincarnate the leader of Akatsuki, the real pain. The real pain. Orochimaru recalled. I remember Jiraiya said that the leader of the 3 brats seems to be called Yahiko? Naruto nodded again and again. That's him. It sounds interesting. Orochimaru rubbed his chin. But their bodies? Pain's body was taken away, but Yahiko's body is still in Woodleaf. As for Jiraiya, sensei, I heard from Kurama that when I was in Yanbi, I seemed to have accidentally injured Jiraiya sensei. There should be some traces of his treatment in the hospital at that time. He was seriously injured by you in Yanbi? Orochimaru's first reaction was disbelief. When he couldn't form seals with his hands, he could fight back and forth with the Yanbi Naruto. How could Jiraiya be so weak? But he soon understood, oh, he's still the same. He didn't hesitate to hurt himself to protect others. Naruto lowered his head sadly. Lascivious sensei? Orochimaru smiled. Let's go, I also want to see my old friend. Chapter 563. Woodleaf in the woods behind Naruto Rock. Orochimaru formed a seal with both hands. Edo Tensei. The 4 white Zetsu bodies in the formation were covered in dust. Under Naruto and Sasuke's expectant gaze, the 4 bodies gradually turned into their memories, and then opened their eyes. Aren't I dead? Fugaku was in a trance. Fugaku, is this hell? Mikoto asked. This doesn't seem to be the rain country? Yahiko wondered. Orochimaru, did you use Edo Tensei to resurrect us? Jiraiya reacted quickly. Orochimaru laughed and said, don't be angry, I resurrected you at the request of these 2. Naruto waved his arms excitedly. Lascivious Sennin. Jiraiya stared. Naruto, why are you here? Yahiko looked at him. Jiraiya sensei. Even you are dead? Sasuke stepped forward with restrained emotions. Dad, Mom? Fugaku's voice trembled. Sasuke, it's you. Mikoto's eyes were wet. You've grown so big? I'm sorry for making you suffer. Fugaku calmed down. Sasuke, what's going on? Also, how is Itachi now? Sasuke said in a deep voice, I killed him. And I know everything at that time. You. Fugaku sighed. In the end, it still came to this step? Mikoto was even more depressed. The son killed the father, the younger brother killed the older brother. This is the tragedy of the world. Sasuke was silent for a moment and continued, as for the current situation, Uchiha Madara resurrected, intending to destroy the world, and the 5 shinobi villages united against the enemy. Itachi was also reincarnated by the enemy. Although I'm not afraid of him, I can't deal with him after knowing the truth, so I want to ask Mom and Dad to beat him up. Fugaku and Mikoto were stunned by this series of shocking news at first, but when they heard the end, they suddenly felt itchy. Although they were killed by Itachi voluntarily, how could they not complain in their hearts? Between the family and the village, Itachi chose the village. Moreover, did Itachi really choose the village? Will the village fall into chaos if the Uchiha ascends to the throne? In their opinion, Itachi had been brainwashed by the higher-ups. Rather than saying that he had chosen the village, it was better to say that he had chosen the village's higher-ups. Thinking about that, Fugaku heaved a sigh of relief. Alright, I don't have so many concerns after I die. I can indeed fight without restraint for once. On the other side, Jiraiya and Yahiko learned about the current situation from Orochimaru. Who would have thought that so many unforeseen events would occur after my death? Jiraiya sighed. Yahiko's expression was complicated. Is it because of my death that Nagato embarked on the path of revenge? This kind of Nagato makes me feel unfamiliar. Orochimaru laughed. What do you think? Should I give him a good beating? Beating the former leader, it's really exciting to think about it. Yahiko ignored him and said in a deep voice, even if he is dead, he still lives in hatred. This is not Nagato's fate. I put too much pressure on him and let him carry my ideals on his shoulders. Now it's my turn to enlighten him. At night, Nagato sat on the stone steps and looked at the night sky quietly. Suddenly, the sound of grass being stepped on came from behind him. Nagato subconsciously looked back and was surprised. Conan, you seem to have become a lot younger. Conan stroked his temples. Because I am Conan from a parallel universe. Parallel universe? Nagato was puzzled. I came here today just to tell you a story. Conan said seriously, the story of another life. Another life? Xiao Nan nodded and told him about her experience in the other spacetime. Nagato's face was full of shock. So this is the parallel universe you were talking about? So, the person who defeated me also came from that world? Conan nodded silently. Although my end in that universe was not very good, he was indeed much luckier than me. Nagato sighed with emotion and immediately asked, you said this to make me give up my hatred? I really don't want you to die in peace. But no matter what you think, I will not interfere with your decision. Sure enough, Conan, you are always so gentle. Nagato shook his head slightly. Unfortunately, I don't have the sense of relief. At this time, there was a sudden noise from the outside world. Nagato looked outside. It seems that the enemy is coming. Before I am controlled by that mouse, I'd better do something. Conan, be careful. When Nagato's figure disappeared, Conan sighed. Uncle asked me to enlighten the Nagato of this world, but it seems that he failed. I don't know how Uncle is doing. Why did he suddenly ask me to tell a story? Outside world. Itachi's usually calm face showed a helpless and bitter expression. Father, mother, what are you doing? I heard from Sasuke that you used Tsukuyami on him when he was 12 years old. Mikoto held a stick with a frosty face. I just want Sasuke to grow up faster. Itachi smiled bitterly. He was also helpless. When Sasuke was 7 years old, he was stimulated by the death of his entire clan, and when he was 12 years old, he opened 2 tomo. At this rate, even when he was terminally ill, Sasuke might not be able to open 3 tomo. With this kind of strength, how could he protect himself in this chaotic world? So, you let him be targeted by some disgusting and dangerous bastards? Fugaku said and looked to the side. Orochimaru-sama, don't mind me, I'm not talking about you. Although he said that, his tone clearly meant, I'm offended. If you don't like it, come and fight me. Orochimaru's mouth twitched and he thought, I don't care about the dead. After all, he was aiming for the body of the other person's son. It was normal for him to be angry. Disgusting and dark, but it shouldn't be dangerous, right? Itachi looked at Orochimaru and said hesitantly. Orochimaru's face stiffened. Sure enough, the 3 of them were annoying. What about Guardian Wood Leaf? You want to use genjutsu on your own brother? Fugaku continued to question. This. Just when Itachi was having a headache, Nagato's voice came from a distance. Itachi, it seems that you are in trouble. Do you need my help? Without waiting for Itachi to respond, Yahiko shouted, Nagato, it's me. Nagato's body stiffened, and he almost fell between the trees. Me, Yahiko? Looking at the skinny Nagato, Yahiko said sadly, I'm sorry, it's all because I let you bear too much pressure, so you became like this. Nagato shook his head frantically. The one who should say sorry is me. I didn't protect you at that time. It's my fault. If I didn't take the initiative to die in your hands, you wouldn't live in pain. It's my fault. If I could master the ability of Rinnegan earlier, you wouldn't have to die. It's my fault. No, it's my fault. Orochimaru looked at the 2 with interest. If Yahiko blamed Nagato like Fugaku and Mikoto, it may make Nagato go to the other extreme, but he put all the blame on himself, and let Nagato come out of the abyss of hatred. Should I say he's the real leader of the Akatsuki? Chapter 564. Jiraiya joined in fact it's all my fault. I imposed the fate of the child of prophecy on Nagato, so you suffered that kind of misfortune. No, it's our fault. Yahiko said, Jiraiya, sensei, you protected us and taught us ninjutsu, but in the end you died in my hands. No, it's my fault. Nagato said in a heavy tone, I wanted you, Yahiko, to be the leader of the Akatsuki and enjoy this glory, but in fact I made you my tool, stained with blood. I said it's my fault. Jiraiya slapped himself fiercely. Jiraiya, sensei, don't be like this. Yahiko also slapped himself. TSK, Jiraiya apologizes to Nagato, Nagato apologizes to Yahiko, Yahiko apologizes to Jiraiya. Sure enough, the triangle is the most stable structure. With such a sigh, Orochimaru walked into the cave. In the cave, Kabuto quietly crushed a chess piece and looked up at the person who came. As expected of Orochimaru-sama, you actually came up with this method to let them forcibly break free from my shackles with their own consciousness. Orochimaru looked strange. You may not believe it, but at first I just asked them to be thugs. Itachi, who was aware of the domestic violence and the 3 people who kept slapping him, the corners of his eyes twitched wildly. Forget it, let's not talk about those wastes. Is Orochimaru-sama here to take back everything I have? No, I have no interest in these things you put together. Orochimaru shook his head. Then you're persuading me to surrender? Kabuto excitedly shook his tail. With all due respect, the current Orochimaru-sama has no binding force on me. I'm a dragon that has surpassed the snake. Orochimaru was not angry, he just smiled. Of course, I don't think you can be persuaded by my words, but there may be someone who can. Kabuto picked up a chess piece and gently twisted it. I'm no longer a chess piece on the chessboard, no one can affect me. Orochimaru didn't comment. Oh, you fulfilled so many people's dreams, but no one fulfilled your dream, isn't it sad? Let me give you a hand. With that, he directly summoned a standing coffin. The coffin lid of the coffin lid, a woman with a gentle face came out. Seeing this person, Kabuto suddenly became quiet, his tail suddenly became quiet, his tail suddenly returned to his trench coat. Seeing Kabuto's action of learning tattoos outside and subconsciously hiding the tattoos after seeing his parents, Orochimaru chuckled in his heart. Sure enough, I still can't replace your position in his heart, Yakushi Nanoyu. Nanoyu looked around in confusion. Orochimaru-sama. Also you are Kabuto? Liar, it must be a liar. Kabuto, who was originally a little uneasy, suddenly looked at Orochimaru excitedly and shouted, "Didn't you say that she recognized my growth by relying on photos? That's why she didn't recognize me at that time. Then why does she recognize me now? You must be controlling her thoughts from behind." Orochimaru spread out his hands. "I didn't use charms to control her thoughts. It shouldn't be difficult for you, who is also the caster of Edo Tensei, to determine, right?" She pressed her forehead and said softly, "A person's voice will change, their appearance will change, but the light in the depths of their eyes will not change." Kabuto was confused again. Then why did you?" Orochimaru shrugged. "Sorry, I concealed part of the truth at that time." In addition to secretly replacing the photos, Danzo also cast genjutsu on her. Kabuto's eyes bloomed with a strong light. In other words, the dean did not forget me. Nanoyu smiled bitterly. "Sorry, during the time when I was under genjutsu, I really did not remember you." Kabuto shook his head. "I have become like this today, but you can recognize me at a glance, proving that fetters do not necessarily have to be maintained by things like glasses or names. The inner feelings are the fetters that transcend all boundaries." Orochimaru clapped his hands. "That is, you did not die and were not reincarnated by Edo Tensei, otherwise with your awareness, I am afraid that your soul will be forced to ascend to heaven." Kabuto was silent for a moment. "Let's go, now I no longer need to prove my existence to others. I am me, Kabuto of the Woodleaf Orphanage." After learning that the army of Edo Tensei stood on the side of the coalition, everyone was very excited for a while, but that was all. Before the final enemy was defeated, victory or defeat did not mean anything. Of course, Danzo still scolded him. If he had not used his talent to kill his own people, Kabuto would not have done so many messy things. In the harmonious atmosphere of hard work, dreams, and scolding Danzo, 3 days passed in a flash. When dawn broke, everyone couldn't help but be nervous. Finally, this day has come. I don't know how many of us will survive after the war is over. I am afraid of death, but I am more afraid that my children will always live in falsehood. Yes, in order to leave a real world for future generations, we must defeat Uchiha Madara. Hearing these firm voices, Hashirama was encouraged. "With such faith we will never lose. Anyway, we have done our best." Tobirama sighed and asked, "How is Naruto's cultivation going?" "Naruto?" Hashirama gave a thumbs up. "He can enter Sage mode instantly." Tobirama couldn't help but be moved. "So fast? Brother, it took you a few years to master it, right?" It should be that he experienced the capture of Kyuubi, the reincarnation of Sensei, and the awakening of the enemy, which made him enter a state of great peace and joy, and his spiritual realm grew rapidly. Hashirama analyzed. It turned out to be like this. Tobirama felt that it was barely acceptable. Hashirama asked, "By the way, what about the Uchiha boy?" Tobirama said, "Although he didn't open the Rinnegan, his control of the Manjikyu Sharingan has reached the extreme, and he has developed Susanoo to its complete form." Hashirama whistled. "You are making good progress on your side." "I was surprised by his progress, but after listening to your analysis of Naruto, I almost understand." Tobirama looked at the family of 4. He experienced the joy of seeing his parents again, and vented the accumulated resentment in his heart, and his soul was baptized and purified. "Haha, speaking of which, Madara and I also had such a period of rapid improvement." Hashirama recalled, "At that time, we experienced the joy of being like-minded, and the pain of both sides' fathers forcing us to break up, and then we continued to grow." Chapter 565. Just as everyone was discussing nervously, the sky suddenly darkened. Everyone looked up and saw a mountain falling from the sky. Many sharp-eyed people found that there were 5 heads carved on one side of the mountain. It was Woodleaf's Naruto rock. It must be that bastard Madara. Hashirama looked unhappy, and the warmth of the memory disappeared in an instant. Everyone in the coalition was a little panicked. They had not experienced the baptism of meteorites in this world. Facing such an unimaginable attack, they were inevitably panicked. "Are you kidding me? The mountain fell from the sky. Is this the power of Uchiha Madara? Damn it, our strength is too small. Hashirama clapped his hands, and a huge Buddha statue of thousands of meters high was almost completed in an instant, making a gesture of holding a baby. After the impact of the fall of Naruto Rock destroyed more than a dozen big Buddha arms, it was firmly held in the arms of the remaining 900 arms. Everyone just breathed a sigh of relief, and the figure of Madara flew from the sky, laughing wildly. Haha Hashirama, are you satisfied with the gift I gave you? Hashirama carefully put the Naruto Rock on the ground and said angrily, Naruto Rock is a precious property that symbolizes the will of fire. How can you throw it down like garbage? Madara laughed wildly, anyway Wood Leaf is gone from today. It's better to destroy these things in advance. Seeing what Hashirama wanted to say, Tobirama took 2 steps forward. There's nothing to say to this arrogant madman. Get ready to fight. Fight with just you? Madara disdained, let's find that person. Only he can stop me a little. Tobirama still remembered Garashi's words. Call him at the last moment. Naturally, now is not the time. Wait until you defeat us. Now standing here is the whole ninja world. Oh, since you want to die, then I won't stop you. Madara waved the sage staff, and the truth-seeking ball floating behind him instantly shot out. Use the power of the curse seal. Tobirama quickly ordered. Back then, Garashi had only used Yugo's body as a medium to plant the seeds of the curse in everyone's bodies. After 3 days of training, they were able to use the key on their own. After receiving the order, everyone quickly transformed. Curse seal, Grand Fireball. Incantation, True Space Jade. Previously, the power gathered by tens of thousands of senjutsu was already comparable to the Bordered Soil's truth-seeking ball. Although Madara, who had absorbed the divine tree, was far stronger than the Bordered Soil, the army gathered here was much more than the previous 4th division. After a violent collision, the torrent of senjutsu broke through the truth-seeking ball and rushed toward Madara without any reduction in power. Heh, it's rare to see an immortal technique torrent of nearly 100,000 people. It's quite spectacular. Madara didn't panic and commented with interest, however, I'm not Bordered Soil, the waste of a brainless truth-seeking ball. Let me show you my strength, Chibaku Tensei. Unlike Nagato's single Chibaku Tensei, Madara created hundreds of black gravitational cores at once. Those gravitational cores were suspended in the air, not only attracting all kinds of rock formations, but even the torrent of senjutsu was pulled and gathered around the meteorites. For a while, hundreds of small meteorites surrounded by wind, fire, and thunder fell from the sky. Not only that, but the meteorites also emitted a strong gravitational force as they fell, pulling everyone into the sky. Mokutan, Tree Realm descending. Hashirama reacted in time. While taking root in the deeper layers of the earth, he used vines to entangle the coalition forces who were pulled by the gravity. The rest of the people were not idle. Naruto entered Sage mode and threw out a Raisin Shuriken to split more than a dozen meteorites. Sasuke transformed into Susanoo and waved his Odachi to cut off the nearby meteorites. Even Sakura was not willing to fall behind, she jumped up and broke a meteorite with a punch. For a group of strong people, it was not difficult to break 1 or 2 small meteorites. For a while the stars fell like rain. However, Tobirama was alert. Everyone be careful, Madara is gone. Minato recalled the previous sneak attack by Bordered Soil with a shrunken black stick. Be careful of his ability to shrink himself. Ah, it's too late. Madara's iconic laughter came from behind Hashirama. Hashirama's current strength was not comparable to Madara's, and he was distracted by controlling the sea of trees to save people. Naturally, he was not Madara's opponent. Just in an instant, he was trampled under Madara's feet. It's over. Hashirama smiled bitterly in his heart, thinking that he was going to be completely destroyed by Madara with Truth-Seeking Ball, but he found that Madara did not do so, but turned into a juicer and absorbed the Senjutsu chakra from his body. Minato and Tobirama reacted quickly and teleported to Hashirama's side with Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Madara did not fight back, but directly threw Hashirama, who had turned into dregs, to them, and then flew into the air and laughed wildly. Now I can also use Senjutsu, and it's 6-path Senjutsu. 6-path Senjutsu, what is that? Tobirama subconsciously looked at his big brother, who was sucked out of Sage mode. Hashirama shook his head weakly. I don't know. Pretending to be a ghost, eat my sword. Sasuke's tone was indifferent as he attached the curse power and Amaterasu black flame to Susanoo's blade and slashed down. Senjutsu, Mist Release Light Tooth. Madara spat out a laser from his mouth and directly cut off Susanoo's sword. What? My attack. Sasuke was shocked, and then he saw Madara open his mouth again as if he was going to cut Susanoo in half. However, everyone naturally couldn't watch Sasuke being attacked. Naruto's Wind Release Raisin Shuriken, Inoki and Wuji's Dust Release, 3rd Raikage and 4th Raikage Ninjutsu, Itachi's Gundam. If it was hundreds of thousands of people, Madara could naturally ignore it, but there were nearly 100,000 troops here and many of them were powerful ninjas. For a while, even Madara could only escape in embarrassment. After dodging several attacks in a row, Madara looked at the people below with gloomy eyes. Humph, a group of annoying ants forcing me to trample you to death. Senjutsu, Tree World Descending. Senjutsu, Great Fire Annihilation. Hashirama's wood release was originally difficult to ignite, but the fire release with 6-path Senjutsu was different. It was almost the best fuel. The sea of trees left by Hashirama and the sea of trees summoned by Madara were ignited at the same time, and the terrifying sea of fire almost drowned the entire battlefield. Although there are many ninjas in the allied forces who are good at water release, it is difficult to extinguish the fire with ordinary water release. Adding the power of the curse seal to the water release seems like a drop in the bucket in front of this fire. Seeing this situation, Hashirama hurriedly said, "Tobirama, use your sea release." Tobirama's mouth twitched. "I don't have hands, how can I print?" Chapter 566. Damn it, if you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten that ninjutsu requires hand seals. Hashirama gritted his teeth. Tobirama felt offended, but he couldn't say anything at this moment. I can only ask Garashi-sama for help. After that, Tobirama disappeared in an instant, and when he recovered, the two had already appeared in front of him. So fast. Hashirama was shocked. Tobirama didn't have time to pay attention to him. Garashi-sama, please? You're welcome, Naidame-sama. Garashi said helplessly. He had planned to wait for Guy's performance, but now Madara forced him to appear in advance. Immortal Method, Water Release, Great Lake Technique. After Garashi symbolically printed, a big river poured down from the sky and directly extinguished the sea of fire. Not only that, the lake was also very flexible to lift the submerged ninjas to the surface of the lake so that they would not drown. Oh, we're saved. There seems to be a vitality in this lake that healed my burns. Oh, it's true. I know it must be the Sama who defeated pain. He saved us with a rain at that time. In these cheers, Madara's aggressive eyes were cast over. Finally, you can't help but appear? Garashi's mouth rose slightly. Are you the new god who replaced bordered soil? Haha, Madara suddenly froze. When he and Black Zetsu reviewed the situation after the war, he thought that the turning point of bordered soil's madness might be the words of Black Zetsu. And now Madara suddenly mentioned this sentence, which confirmed his guess. Thinking of this, Madara quickly cleared his relationship. Of course I'm not a god. Ah. Garashi's laughter was full of sarcasm in Madara's ears, and he couldn't help but be angry. Laugh all you want, this is the only time you can laugh. Immortal Method, Een Release, Lightning School. The branch-like forked lightning bolts shot towards Garashi, and even space itself was faintly trembling. I can finally make my move. Garashi sighed. Speed is power. Have you ever been kicked by light? What did you say? Madara wondered, then he saw the other side suddenly disappear, and then a powerful force acted on his chest. Madara's chest instantly caved in, and he flew out like a cannonball and fell heavily on the ground. This sudden turn of events left everyone dumbfounded. Even if it's teleportation, it takes some time to react, but the speed of this man seems to be faster than teleportation. Even Madara, who has the body of 6 paths and Rinnegan, didn't react. Madara flew out of the huge pit in the ground. The injury on his chest had been completely healed, but his eyes were full of disbelief. What is this power? Garashi said concisely, Light escape. Light escape? Was this another type of blood inheritance elimination? Oh, worthy of my opponent. Madara twisted his neck. Don't think that this is my limit, God cough. Madara subconsciously wanted to say a few words, but he took it back in time. He felt a little uncomfortable and turned his anger into strength. Immortal Method, Lightning Release, Chakra Mode. Activating the body cells is actually at the cost of increasing the burden on the body, but the body of 6 paths is so powerful that it can quickly repair the 8 gates. In this case, he can naturally enhance the activation level unscrupulously. My reaction and speed are more than twice as fast as before. Madara's confidence was greatly boosted, and he laughed wildly. Come on, kick me again. This is the first time I've heard such a request. Garashi waved his right hand, and the river flowing quietly below suddenly turned into a water dragon and rushed to the sky. Water release? This level of attack is too boring. Madara clapped his hand, and the shock wave formed by the vibrating air shattered the water dragon. Looking at the torrential rain after the water dragon was smashed, Garashi seriously printed. Immortal method, ice release, Moke Boat Mo. The raindrops were frozen, but they did not fall because of gravity, but like ice crystal decorations on the sky. As the time and space nodes, they froze the time and space together. Madara was shocked. Time has become slow. In this frozen time and space, Garashi rushed in like an arrow and kicked Madara's chest. The next moment, the frozen picture cracked like a broken mirror, and then Madara fell into the huge pit again. Sure enough, Madara is weaker than I thought. Garashi stood quietly in the sky and secretly evaluated. Under normal circumstances, with the strength of his clone, he is naturally far from the opponent of the enemy who has entered the realm of 6 paths, even if it is a clone constructed by the Sage of 6 Paths. However, neither Obito nor Madara had perfect control of the power of the 6 paths, especially Obito, who seemed to be powerful and majestic, but he could only use the truth-seeking jade back and forth, and he couldn't even use the power he had previously controlled. Although Madara is a little better, he has absorbed the sacred tree, and the amount of chakra he needs to control is several times that of bordered soil, but the most important thing is that the Rinnegan is not his own. In Garashi's view, Madara is now a skeleton in the grave. Even without Black Zetsu's sneak attack, Kagaya can subtly complete the devouring. In the original time and space, Madara relied on Rinnegan to barely control the power of the sacred tree, so Black Zetsu attacked and created an opportunity for Kagaya. Now Madara can't control the power of the sacred tree very well, and I'm exerting influence from the outside. Kagaya should be able to come out soon. In order to avoid this situation, I'm most likely going to make a move. Although in Garashi's view, defeating a weakened Madara is nothing to be proud of, in the eyes of the coalition forces, this scene is almost a miracle. Incarnate into light, freeze time and space. Even with Itachi's mind, he couldn't help but be stunned at the scene in front of him. What happened during the time I died? Did the gods come to the world? Too powerful. Nagato was so shocked that he held his breath. When he attacked me at that time, he definitely didn't use even 1/10 of his strength. Tsunade recalled Mizuki's previous words. It turns out that he said that Garashi is 100 times stronger than him. Jiraiya opened his mouth wide and regretted. With such a powerful big brother, why did I die at that time? What a loss. Seeing that they were so excited, Mizuki thought with pride, if they knew that it was just a clone of the leader who defeated Madara, they would probably faint. At this time, Madara flew out of the huge pit that had expanded a lot, trying to maintain his face. You deserve to be my opponent. Among the people I have fought, no one is better than you. I, Madara, am willing to call you the strongest. Chapter 567. Threaten Black Zetsu to appear? This idea flashed through Madara's mind, and then he quickly ruled it out. He wants to take the lead in the next cooperation. Naturally, it is impossible to ask others for help. Moreover, although the current situation is slightly out of control, it is not to the point of being a last resort. After all, he has found his greatest advantage after advancing to the body of the 6 paths. He was very envious of Hashirama's healing ability, and now his vitality and recovery ability are above Hashirama's. Taking 2 heavy blows from the enemy didn't hurt him at all. But in the eyes of others, his performance was completely stubborn. Uncle, can you wipe the blood off your mouth before you comment from a condescending position? What god? I think it's the god of being beaten? Madara's mouth twitched and his eyes swept the crowd below. Just saying, not half as good as me. Thunder release, 10,000 thunderbolts. The purple-black thunder fell from the sky, like an aurora beam, covering the entire battlefield. Garashi reacted quickly, printed with both hands and tapped gently in the void. Formation, time and space enchantment. A vast enchantment swayed in the sky, sucking in all the thunder falling from the sky, and then gathered together and fell from the top of Madara's head. Madara waved his staff and instantly retracted his power, and then looked at Garashi indifferently. Is it worth wasting power to protect these ants? Garashi chuckled softly. Of course it's worth it. Hey, haven't you learned the lesson of Hashirama? Well, let me teach you how cruel war is. The wheel, in Madara's right eye rotated rapidly. Big black coffin. Hundreds of huge black cubes appeared around him out of thin air and fell to the crowd at a very fast speed. Seeing this situation, a group of Kage and elite ninjas quickly reacted. Is it similar to the Chibaku Tensei Jutsu? Break them, don't let them hinder Garashi-sama's battle. They knew that Madara's intention was to distract Garashi, and naturally rushed forward. However, when their ninjutsu fell on the black cube, everyone's face changed. The black cube was extremely hard, and the force that could crush meteorites fell on the black coffin only made it shake slightly. Moreover, the black cube seemed to have the ability to absorb chakra, and it was difficult for pure ninjutsu to work. Except for a few people who broke the black coffin, Minato and Tobarama transferred a few of them away. Seeing that the rest of the black coffin was about to fall, Garashi quickly, ice release, Mokpatema. The rapidly falling black cube was frozen in mid-air, and the crowd quickly escaped the area covered by the black coffin. Opportunity. Madara was excited and controlled the 8 truth-seeking balls to fly to Mizuki. Then, the 8 truth-seeking orbs turned into sharp spikes at the same time and stabbed at Shushi from all directions. Paper, soft. In front of Madara's shocked eyes, Shushi's body twisted in an irregular shape, changing shape like soft mud, and easily dodged the spikes. You can do this? Madara's eyes widened, and then he saw Garashi's whole body emitting a dazzling light. The blazing white light filled every corner around him, and it was so hot that Madara could only close his eyes subconsciously. Then, the familiar feeling of being beaten up acted on him. When the light dissipated, everyone squinted and looked around, and found that the huge pit on the ground had expanded a lot, and their awe for Garashi increased. It's amazing he can avoid it. And the blinding just now is so strong. If Garashi-sama wants to, we don't even have the qualification to open our eyes in front of him. Damn it, I can't look at him directly. Madara flew out of the pit, and his heart was extremely aggrieved. It was always the outsiders who were afraid of the Uchiha and did not dare to look directly into their eyes. How could he not dare to look directly into other people's eyes? Yes, Genjutsu. Madara's spirit was refreshed. He now has the strongest Genjutsu, Infinite Tsukuyomi. Although it is not the time to open it, the power of Genjutsu is absolutely beyond doubt. Thinking of this, Madara regained his confidence again and laughed wildly. You are really strong, but unfortunately I am immortal. No matter how many times you beat me, you can't really beat me. Next, it's time to show the real power of the Uchiha. Below, Naruto leaned over to Sasuke. Sasuke, do you Uchiha like to talk big? You're usually silent, pretending to be cold, but when it comes to fighting, you show your true colors. Sasuke couldn't help but scold. Shut up. Then Naruto didn't speak. Surprised by Naruto's self-awareness, Sasuke turned his head and found that Naruto had fallen asleep. Naruto. Sasuke's pupils shrank slightly, and he suddenly felt a burst of sleepiness. His eyelids were almost unable to open. He barely glanced around with the corner of his eyes and found that everyone around him had fainted. Damn it, is this Genjutsu of Madara? I didn't expect this guy's eyes to be so powerful that even with Manjikyu Sharingan, I can barely resist it. Sasuke thought so, and suddenly a powerful soul wave swept through, and the Genjutsu that troubled him was instantly broken. Then Madara's incredulous voice came from the sky. Who the hell are you? Even your soul is so powerful? Just think of me as an ordinary passerby. Sure enough, it's Garashi-sama. Sasuke's heart was relaxed for a while, and then he was full of shock. Medical ninjutsu, 5 elements release, Fuinjutsu, Taijutsu, Kekkei Genkai, and the Genjutsu that he just showed, there is such a perfect ninja in the world. Tobarama sighed. Compared with Senpai, Garashi-sama is more suitable for the title of the god of ninja. I have no problem with the second half of the sentence. Hashirama looked unhappy. But I can't pretend that I didn't hear the word, senpai. Ordinary passerby? Madara's eyes twitched wildly. If ordinary passersby were as abnormal as you, the people behind the scenes would have been extinct long ago. But how should I fight next? Madara was a little confused. He was suppressed in all aspects. Could it be that he could only fight with the other side? In the distance, Black Zetsu looked at this scene excitedly. Very good. If it goes on like this, Mother will soon be liberated. Aizen shook his head slightly. Otsutsuki Ichiki is unlikely to be so quiet and watch Mother unseal. Black Zetsu was a little worried. What should we do? Hurry up and give Madara the last stab? Don't worry, it's not a bad thing to come out later. Aizen comforted him. You just do as I say and prepare the best gift for Mother's release. Black Zetsu nodded heavily. I know. Chapter 568. With Garashi as the head, a group of Kagero and Jonin as the waist, and the rest of the coalition forces as the tail, the attack formed by them was like an all-piercing through Madara's defense. For a while the powerful Madara could only escape. It shouldn't be. What's the problem? Madara was puzzled. He could feel that the man had not yet entered the realm of God, but why was he who had stepped into this realm not a match for him? Hiding in the space mezzanine, Ikeyashi narrowed his eyes. The people on this planet have developed a new path? He didn't see the scene of Garashi inoculating the people with curses. He thought that the senjutsu had become widespread. If you let those people know, this planet will definitely be on the extinction list. Why is Otsutsuki so powerful over the planets under his rule? Why is he not afraid of the spread of chakra giving birth to the power to overthrow them? The reason is that chakra alone is not a threat to them. Take the truth-seeking ball for example. No matter how many ninjutsu you have, you can't break the boundary of the truth-seeking ball. This is the essential gap. But this planet has developed a unique senjutsu that can have an effect on the truth-seeking ball. The most important thing is that it can be popularized by all the people, so its threat is too great. It's time to eliminate this threat. Outside, Madara was still stubborn. What can't destroy me will make me stronger. Wait, your death omen is already flickering. Garashi said while beating him. It's very powerful, but before you speak, can you stop the foam from the corner of your mouth? Madara was about to say something, but suddenly his pupils shrank. In his field of vision, a figure with a long horn on his head appeared behind Garashi. Tobirama and Minato also saw the enemy's movements. They didn't have time to think. They were ready to teleport behind Garashi to help him block the attack, but found that they couldn't teleport at all. Suddenly a thought rose in their hearts. The space was frozen. One move skillfully summoned 4 shadows from the Tomb of Reincarnation space, and surrounded Garashi from the front, back, left, and right. 80 God Air Attack *5 to 400 God Air Attack. Although Garashi reacted in time and turned around, crossing his arms in front of his chest, how could a full-strength attack be so easily blocked? Even his main body had been seriously injured to the point of being paralyzed when he was ambushed. Needless to say, this doppelganger was even more so. Half of his body had been destroyed with a single blow. Seeing this scene, the eyes of the people below almost split open, and they madly charged into the sky. Despicable and shameless. How dare you launch a sneak attack? Damned bastard, I'm going to kill you. However, there seemed to be an invisible barrier in the sky, blocking all of them outside. Ishir did not care about the curses from the audience and said casually, as long as I can win, it doesn't matter what method I use. My Tomb of Samsara. Madara finally knew where he was lacking. That was his eyes. Although the man's strength was unbelievably strong, he had yet to step into the 6 paths domain and thus, he couldn't sense the existence of the Tomb of Reincarnation. He thought that the Tomb of Reincarnation was just an artifact, but he didn't expect that there would be such a strong freak in the world who hadn't stepped into the 6 paths domain. Damn it, I let this bastard use my eyes to steal the limelight. Madara thought unwillingly, and then he was shocked again. No, where is his flesh and blood? In his field of vision, the part of Garashi's body that was blown up had no blood flowing. In the sky, Garashi didn't care about his body that was constantly dissipating, but sighed deeply. You can defeat my doppelganger, very good strength. The smile on Ishir's face suddenly solidified. Doppelganger? Madara's eyes almost popped out and he cursed in his heart. This bastard is just a doppelganger? Are you kidding me? I was almost defeated by a doppelganger? Even a doppelganger is so powerful, how strong is this guy's main body? Hearing Garashi's voice, the people of the Alliance who were originally sad and indignant were also stunned. Doppelganger? It's just a doppelganger. Is Garashi-sama's main body going to become a god? It's like a dream. Mizuki said, Garashi is a leader, and he has to deal with the affairs of a world. Of course, it's impossible for him to come here with his main body. Wait, my main body is going to move out. After that, Garashi's body drifted away like a rain of light, leaving only a truth-seeking ball in place. It turned out to be the truth-seeking ball of the 6 paths. No wonder even I was fooled by him. Ishir suddenly realized, and his face immediately became gloomy. It seems that the slave seal on his forehead was just to lure me out. He even tricked me. The little devil of the 6 paths domain should be here soon. Suddenly, after Garashi's body dissipated, the truth-seeking ball that was left behind trembled slightly and flew into the distance. Ishir's figure flashed, and the next moment, he grabbed the truth-seeking ball in his hand. Bait should have the consciousness of being bait. You fished me out and you want to take back the bait? Not so good. With that, Sure swallowed the whole truth-seeking ball. His condition wasn't very good. After absorbing the power of this truth-seeking ball, his internal injuries instantly stabilized a lot. Sure's eyes flashed. It turned out to be a permanent truth-seeking ball. No wonder the effect is so outstanding. The little devil of the 6 paths is really willing to spend a lot of money. On the side, Madara asked, "Since you're here, it means that the guy of the 6 paths is coming out, right?" Sure squinted his eyes. "You know the 6 paths, it seems that you have gotten rid of the identity of a pawn." "Pawn? You mean the guy Black Zetsu, right?" Madara snorted. "When the battle is over, I will repay your care." Sure was stunned. "Black Zetsu and Otsutsuki Kagaya are manipulating you, what does it have to do with me?" The people below looked at the two talking and their hearts were cold. Not to mention that the main body of the 6 paths domain will take some time to arrive. Even if he arrives, can he beat the two of them alone? After all, this new guy looks much more powerful than Madara. Just when everyone was anxious, Tobirama was keenly aware that Naruto and Sasuke's aura disappeared. What's going on? Tobirama was confused and suddenly 3 figures appeared in the sky. Naruto with sharp eyes, Sasuke with a cold look, and the old man with a peaceful face in the middle of them. Naruto can float in the air like them. Tobirama's pupils suddenly shrank. He didn't remember when Naruto learned flying ninjutsu. And Sasuke, the pedal under his feet, seems to be the truth-seeking ball? Just when he was puzzled, Madara suddenly asked, "Are you the 6 paths sage? My first father?" Chapter 569. 6 paths looked complicated. Yes, you are the reincarnation of Indra's chakra. Although Madara is just the reincarnation of Indra's chakra, in this world, chakra is sometimes more representative of a person's essence than the soul. At this moment, he is the chakra wandering in the world after death. Therefore, 6 paths didn't deny this concept. As for the other people on the battlefield, they were completely confused. Suddenly there is a powerful enemy. Why did Madara recognize his father on the spot? Also, if they heard correctly, Madara called him Sage of 6 Paths, right? Hashirama and Tobirama were also confused. Isn't Madara's father Uchiha Taijima? Did the Uchiha clan leader accidentally put a hat on his head? After getting a positive answer, Madara asked again, "Are you here to stop me?" 6 Paths nodded slightly. "I can't watch this world go to destruction." Madara couldn't help but laugh loudly and his voice was full of sarcasm. "You didn't care about the years of war in the Warring States period. You didn't care about the 3 wars in the Ninja Village period. Now I want to eliminate war and pain and you stand up." 6 Paths said, "Because I'm not a person of this era. I'm just an observer. I have no right to interfere with your decisions." Madara asked coldly, "Then why are you standing up now?" 6 Paths looked at Ichibi. "Because you were influenced by the evil existence and made a choice against your heart. I must correct this mistake." Ichibi pointed to himself with an innocent face. "Evil existence, you're not talking about me, are you?" 6 Paths said solemnly. "This world is very big. If Ichibi-sama is willing to give up some crazy ideas, it's not impossible to accommodate 2 Otsutsuki." Ichibi smiled. "You know the nature of our clan. If you want me to give up, isn't that forcing the wolf to eat grass? Also, I'm not the one who induced his decision. I won't take responsibility for it." 6 Paths sighed. "If that's the case, then I'll have to destroy you." Ichibi narrowed his eyes and glanced at Naruto and Sasuke, then laughed. "You actually gave your power to these 2 kids. Right now, you don't have the qualifications to boast in front of me." His power had grown, and the 6 Paths' power had weakened. With this, it was not impossible for him to devour the 6 Paths. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but sneer. "Concentrate on defeating me and then stop Madara, this is the right choice." The 6 Paths suddenly remembered the conversation he had with Garashi. Their enemy was not in the ninja world but in the distant stars. Considering that Otsutsuki's visitors may secretly investigate, in order to avoid scaring the enemy away, he must create the illusion of perishing together with Ichiki. Therefore it was necessary to divert a part of their strength. Of course, doing this was not without danger. In order to deceive the first move, his remaining strength naturally could not exceed the first move by too much. He couldn't say that, so 6 Paths said, "If the world is destroyed, what's the point of defeating you? At the very least, before I defeat you, the fate of this world is in their hands." Hearing this, Ichibi laughed. "Haha, then I have to thank you. Thank you for handing over this world to me." Six Paths was unmoved. Since you don't want to destroy this world now, then let's go to outer space to fight. Ichibi smiled. Just right, I don't want to be surrounded by these monkeys. With that, the two flew into the deep space like rockets. After they left, Madara looked at Naruto and Sasuke indifferently. I didn't expect that the two little bugs I ignored would become the biggest variable in this war. Sasuke said, then you have to be careful. If you don't pay attention, the bug may become a dragon. Then I'll crush it before it becomes a dragon. With that, Madara created a large number of black coffins out of thin air and threw them to the place where Sasuke was. Sasuke stepped on the truth-seeking jade skateboard, as if flying on a sword, shuttled back and forth in a large group of black coffins. When he came in front of Madara, he used Curse Seal, Chidori Spear. Naruto followed him and also used Senjutsu, Odama Rasengan. Madara naturally wouldn't stay in place stupidly, but as soon as he flew to the side, suddenly his eyes blurred, and he inexplicably returned to his original place. Then he was pierced by a spear and then he was hit by a ball. Space ability? Madara stabilized in midair, holding his chest and asked. Sasuke said indifferently. Dojutsu Heavenly Hand Power. Rinnegan's exclusive dojutsu? Madara was surprised and speechless. If his exclusive dojutsu is an advanced version of clone jutsu, then Sasuke's exclusive dojutsu is an advanced version of substitute jutsu. Another kid won't give him an advanced version of transformation jutsu, right? So strong, worthy of Sasuke. Naruto praised in his heart, and then used his own exclusive ninjutsu. Look at my harem jutsu. Among a group of beautiful naked girls, Naruto quietly went behind Madara and was ready to use the explosive tag to kill Madara. But before she could get close, she was kicked out by Madara. Naruto changed back to his original form and looked at Madara in shock. So strong, this iron will is much stronger than Sensei and Sensei Jiraiya. That's it? Madara smiled faintly. Which strong man can't resist this temptation? Sasuke narrowed his eyes and flew to Naruto's ear and whispered a few words. Is this okay? Try it, you're not afraid of losing face anyway. Well, Sasuke, get ready to attack. Naruto flew up firmly. Madara, look at my trick, reverse harem jutsu. Suddenly, dozens of nude Hashirama surrounded Madara and flirted with him. Madara's eyes widened instantly and shouted loudly. Disgusting, filthy, perverted. Having said that, he didn't seem to mean to look away at all. He looked critical. Seeing this situation, Sasuke seized the opportunity to use Susanoo, holding his Odachi and slashing down at Madara. Madara was slashed into the ground by this ferocious slash, and the ground cracked into a large rift valley that stretched for thousands of meters. Everyone in the coalition forces who had been sighing were shocked by this slash. Has Sasuke become so powerful? Although the previous Heavenly Hand technique and joint attack looked very powerful, it was not enough. This slash really made them realize the change. At this moment, the depths of the ground suddenly shook violently, and the aura inadvertently revealed made everyone's soul tremble faintly. What's going on? Is Madara angry? No, although this aura is very similar to his, there are some differences. Sasuke and Naruto, who were told the complete story by Rikudo, naturally understood what was going on, and their faces turned black. Is it because of shame and anger that Kagaya took over Madara's body? They haven't had time to seal Madara with the power of yin and yang. The two looked at each other. It's over, it seems that we accidentally played too much. From sealing Madara to sealing Kagaya, the difficulty coefficient increased exponentially. Chapter 570. Under everyone's puzzled gazes, a beautiful woman with indifferent eyes flew out from the ground. It was as if she viewed the common people as ants. Who is this woman? Why does she have chakra on her body? Could it be that Madara was affected by Naruto's jutsu and turned into a woman? Hiss. Does Naruto's jutsu have such a terrible effect? Hehe, then isn't it enough to make Hashirama-sama strip naked? Hearing the obscenities below, Kagaya's delicate face exuded a burst of coldness. Rude, how dare you blaspheme me, damn it? Naruto and Sasuke both understood her horror. At this moment, seeing her like this, they quickly reminded her loudly. Be careful, quickly get away from her. Kagaya gently shook her hair, and the flying white hair behind her instantly turned into sharp thin needles and shot out. Rabbit hair needle. Needles rained down from the sky. Some people subconsciously used earth release to defend, but it didn't have any effect. No matter how hard the barrier was, it was as fragile as white paper in front of the thin needles. For a while, the people slightly closer to Kagaya were hit by the rabbit hair needles and died instantly. Seeing this, the family and friends of the deceased rushed up with red eyes. White-haired woman, go to hell. Kagaya's white fist hit the void on both sides, and the space shattered like a mirror. 80 gods air attack. The resulting shockwave shook the sky, tore the earth, and instantly crushed the ninja allied forces that rushed over into powder. Then the shockwave swayed toward the allied forces that retreated to the back. Seeing the critical situation, Hashirama, who recovered some chakra, quickly summoned the 5 Rashomon, and the ninja allied forces quickly used earth release to strengthen the defense of the Rashomon. However, these gates that symbolized the entrance to hell collapsed at the moment of contact with the shockwave. The defense they set up together couldn't even delay for a second. Sasuke fusion. Come in. Sasuke's complete body Susanoo stood in front of everyone, and Naruto blessed Susanoo with 6 paths power. 6 paths, Susanoo waved his sword and tore the shockwave that shook the sky. Seeing the storm finally subsided, everyone in the allied forces breathed a sigh of relief. Then, the tragic scene in front of them was like a basin of cold water, completely waking them up. Before, because of Garashi's protection, no one sacrificed in this final battle, so they forgot that war can kill people. Moreover, they also understood that this woman who looked beautiful and noble is more powerful than Madara. However, Huiyi frowned. My power is not complete. Unlike the original space-time, although Madara here also absorbed the chakra tree at that time was far from its peak, and the recovered chakra was only a part of the shinobi world. Moreover, Madara didn't have time to use the chakra of the world of trees and didn't have time to recover all the chakra. If she was in her complete form, those 2 brats wouldn't have been able to block her attack. Huiyi looked at Mingzua and Mingzua, are you Yui's children? Naruto scratched his head. To be precise, it's chakra reincarnation. Huiyi sighed, looking at you all reminds me of my 2 sons. In the distance, Suigetsu was overjoyed and asked, if they recognize you as their mother, you don't have to fight? Kagaya's gentle face was suddenly covered with frost. Because they are my sons, I want to kill them even more. 80 gods air attack. Seeing Kagaya's move again, Suigetsu quickly retreated and muttered, a menopausal woman can't be provoked. The war was about to start. On the mountain in the distance, Aizen didn't care about the earth-shattering battle in front of him. Instead, he looked up and watched the battle across the infinite distance. His gaze was not only focused on the Rikudo and Ichiki, but also deep into Ichiki's body. Ichiki's body was constantly absorbing and digesting the truth-seeking ball, and 3 eyes were trembling gently like a heart. 2 were Shirsue's eyes, and 1 was Uraji's golden Rinnegan, which was responsible for providing Shirsue's eyes with power. After watching for a while, Aizen withdrew his gaze. It's not enough, we have to wait until he's exhausted. Black Setsu couldn't help but dance. Brother, Mother is really too powerful, let's hurry up and help. Aizen said calmly, do you think Mother's power can't deal with these fodder? Black Setsu scratched his head awkwardly, that's not it. Aizen pointed to the sky, that's where the real threat lies. Black Setsu thought for a moment, brother, you mean Rikudo? But isn't he fighting a great demon king? Aizen nodded, Rikudo is cunning and despicable, Ichiki is no match for him. These words touched Heiju's heart, and he nodded in agreement. Big brother, what should we do? Aizen's voice was calm, destroy his foundation. Foundation? Black Setsu was puzzled, doesn't his power come from himself? Aizen said, yes, most of it is, but a small part of it comes from the underworld. The underworld? Black Setsu's eyes widened, is it related to the Rikudo? Although he had lived for 1,000 years, his eyes had always been on the reincarnation of Azura Indra. Moreover, in order not to expose himself, he had never explored places that might be dangerous. The underworld was one of them. So he really didn't know about the connection between the underworld and the Rikudo. Aizen nodded, the Rinnegan controls the power of life and death. Reviving the dead isn't difficult, but the prerequisite is finding their soul. The Rikudo created the underworld after sealing Mother because of his regret in his youth. Black Setsu wasn't interested in the Rikudo's regret. Fortunately, I didn't control the Edo Tensei. Otherwise, wouldn't I be sending myself to the Rikudo? Aizen continued, after 1,000 years, the underworld has accumulated an endless amount of soul power. If the Rikudo is allowed to use it freely, even Mother may not be his opponent. Black Setsu became nervous, then what do we do? Aizen twisted his fingers, when he obtains power from the underworld, chakra also establishes an inseparable connection with the underworld. What we need to do is tear the underworld apart at the critical moment. Black Setsu was shocked, tear the underworld apart? Aizen nodded. On one hand, we need to distract the Rikudo and create an opportunity for Mother. On the other hand, the torn soul can be used as a material to create the Hogyoku. Black Zetsu knew that the Hogyoku was a noble phantasm created by his brother to appease his mother's soul, but he still had some doubts. Brother, didn't you say that the Hogyoku needs to be purified after ascension? Aizen said calmly, this is to better stabilize the structure. The inner layer is the pure soul and the outer layer is the ordinary soul. Is that so? Black Zetsu didn't think much of it. After all, he didn't know much about it. Chapter 571. After getting a reply, Black Jew asked, by the way, big brother, how do we tear the underworld apart? The world of the dead is for the dead to deal with. Aizen took out a scroll from his sleeve and spread it on the ground. Once the seal was removed, a large number of strange masks appeared on the scroll. Black Zetsu counted 26 of them. These are the Uzumaki's Reaper masks? Aizen nodded gently, his hands forming a series of seals. Summon, spirit bind. Suddenly the sound of ghosts crying and wolves howling filled the air. It was daytime, but the atmosphere was like the underworld. Then, the terrifying shadows of the 26 Grim Reapers emerged from behind the masks. In order to summon back their intelligence, only 4 death gods succeeded. The rest of the masks were all shattered. But now he didn't need them to keep their consciousness. He didn't need to worry about the masks breaking. Black Zu looked at these phantoms with fear and moved closer to his big brother. If the Reapers go on a rampage, I need to protect my brother as soon as possible. Black Zetsu thought. Then he saw his brother put a smelted mask in his hand. Suddenly 26 pairs of cold, emotionless eyes stared at Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu was so scared that he almost threw the mask away. Brother, what is this? Aizen said, this mask is the key to controlling them. I will send you to the underworld. When you receive my orders, summon them and tear the underworld apart. Black Zetsu pondered for a moment and nodded. I know what to do. Aizen put his hands on his shoulders. The most important step to saving Mother is up to you. Black Zetsu was excited. No, it's up to us. You're right, it's up to us. After sending Black Zetsu to the underworld, Aizen continued to observe the battle. In just a few minutes, Ichiban and Six Paths had reached their limits. Many of the asteroids around them had been destroyed. Under normal circumstances, they had an endless supply of chakra. It wouldn't be a problem for them to fight for a month or two. But the problem was that both of them were anxious. One was worried that the arrival of Garashi's real body would cause problems, while the Six Paths was worried about the battlefield below. He sensed that his mother had come out. Are you afraid of Huey? Even after 1,000 years, you still can't get rid of this fear. She really is an unqualified mother. Isha ridiculed. Although sound couldn't be transmitted in the universe with their strength, it wasn't difficult for them to communicate telepathically. Naturally, First Form would not let go of this opportunity to attack the Sixth Tao of Samsara and find a flaw in his mind. The Dominator of Six Paths was unmoved. He pushed a small planet toward the First Form like a chess piece. Mother's strength does scare me. After all, she was a lower-level warrior who defeated a higher-level warrior. His face was as black as the bottom of a pot. No matter what the process was, this result was enough to make him permanently nailed to the pillar of shame of the Otsutsuki clan. Other than having some thoughts about the strangeness of this planet, he didn't want this humiliation to spread back to his clan. This was also one of the reasons why he didn't contact his clan. You little rascal, you've really angered me. With a gloomy face, the First Form flew straight to the sun and forcibly seized the nuclear energy released by the sun. The next moment, an incomparably huge ball of light formed between his raised hands. Has a brat like you who lives in a corner ever seen the vastness of the universe? The First Form sealed the space around him and threw out the huge energy ball that was constantly expanding. Today I'll let you see how we use the energy of the universe. Ultimate energy cannon. He actually seized the power of the sun. No wonder he's a warrior from the Otsutsuki clan. The Dominator of Six Paths sighed in his heart. When it came to the application of power, how could he compare with the Otsutsuki clan? However, it's not like I haven't made any progress. The Dominator of Six Paths absorbed the natural energy in the universe, or in other words, the cosmic rays. The natural energy was already very violent. In the Dominator of Six Paths' view, the part of the natural energy that came from outer space was the relatively docile cosmic rays left behind after filtration. In other words, the complete cosmic rays were more violent than the natural energy. Even for the Dominator of Six Paths, This was the first time he tried to absorb this energy. However, his realm was far beyond that of an ordinary immortal. The originally violent cosmic rays were as docile as sheep in his body. My current state, perhaps I should call it the cosmic sage mode? The Dominator of Six Paths thought to himself as he released the Senjutsu chakra in the form of a technique. It was as bright as a nebula. Cosmic sage mode, nebula storm. The energy cannon collided with the storm. It was as if the sky and earth were being split apart. The surrounding space and time were distorted, and the floating meteorites were instantly turned into cosmic dust. He actually blocked my attack. How troublesome. The first form frowned and thought about how to deal with the Dominator of Six Paths next. However, at this moment, an extremely powerful surge of I-power exploded within his body. With the cover of the big explosion, even the Dominator of Six Paths did not notice the abnormality of the first form. When the storm subsided, the first form's struggling eyes returned to normal. I didn't expect that I would fail again, and this time at the hands of Kagaya's son. You didn't lose to me, you lost to the world. As he spoke, the six paths of heaven first form threw out a ball of essence, chi, and spirit, Tao. The first form did not resist and just looked at him quietly. I will watch your fall in the future. Soon, the sealed truth-seeking ball returned to the Dominator of Six Paths. The Dominator of Six Paths had some doubts about the first form's cooperation with the seal, but he soon understood. He guessed that Otsutsuki's family might send someone to look for him, so he didn't want to fight to the death with me? Just as well, I'm waiting for their arrival. Thinking of this, the Dominator of Six Paths rubbed the truth-seeking ball in his hand and thought to himself, although this seal is not as stable as Chibaku Tensei, it should not be a problem to seal it for more than 10 years. He did not use the seal of Six Paths, Chibaku Tensei. On one hand, the additional moon may have a certain impact on the surface ecology. On the other hand, he had to be careful of the future guests of Otsutsuki. It was better to carry the first form's sealed artifact with him. The seal of Six Paths, Chibaku Tensei, was too big to carry around. No matter what, this hidden danger has been temporarily resolved. The Dominator of Six Paths sighed and looked down. Next, I will ask Mother to go back to sleep. Chapter 572. Without Black Zetsu's reminder, Kagaya didn't think of separating Naruto and Naruto with the 6 major spaces in Heaven's defense. Instead, she kept attacking. At this moment, Sasuke and Naruto also noticed that Kagaya was countless times stronger than Madara in terms of attributes. But in terms of combat awareness, she was countless times weaker than Madara. She was completely at the level of a ninja school student, and a first-grade primary school student. Naruto and Sasuke exchanged glances and made a decision. Kagaya, watch my children and grandchildren's techniques. Naruto shouted, and instantly transformed into dozens of enchanting naked Rikudo. In terms of appearance alone, Rikudo, who was old enough to be Kagaya's grandfather, coquettishly called out, "Mother, Mother, Mother-sama," Rikudo, who had just finished the battle in the sky, almost pulled his beard off when he saw this scene. But the effect was remarkable. Kaguya, who had flaws in her mind, felt that her mind was polluted after seeing these things, and her rationality value went crazy. Taking advantage of the moment when Kaguya's mind was affected, Sasuke quickly moved forward, and at the same time, used heavenly hand power to exchange the position of Naruto's body with a kunai. Then the two of them pressed their hands imprinted with the power of yin and yang onto Huiye's body. Kaguya's body trembled slightly, and she finally recovered from the state of absent-mindedness. I failed again, but why didn't he come to me? He? Sasuke keenly captured the key information. Who are you talking about? However, Kaguya had been sealed in the expanding meteorite and could no longer answer his question. Naruto put his hands on his hips and laughed wildly. Aha! Who dares to say that my seduction technique is useless? I saved the world by seduction technique. Sasuke temporarily put away his doubts and looked at Naruto with dissatisfaction. Are you laughing like me? Naruto gave him a thumbs up. It's really cool to laugh like this, Sasuke. Am I sympathetic to you? Sasuke's mouth twitched. Idiot. The war is over. Who wants to strengthen the tacit understanding with you? With that, the two flew to the battlefield below. Reikage still couldn't believe it. That woman was sealed? Naruto nodded vigorously. She won't come out again. Hearing this, everyone in the alliance cheered loudly and cried tears of joy. Great, we've finally defeated the enemy. Naruto, Sasuke, you are the heroes who saved the world. Amidst the cheers, Inoki reminded them, don't be happy too early. That immortal is still fighting with the enemy. As soon as he finished speaking, the 6 paths appeared in front of everyone. Don't worry, I've already sealed the first move. This time, everyone really forgot themselves and cheered. In this sea of cheers, Hashirama walked to Madara, who was lying on the ground. While Kaguya was sealed, Madara, as her vessel, was expelled. As the Jubi's Jinchuriki, he will not live long after the Jubi is taken away. Hashirama, are you here to mock me? Hashirama sighed. Madara, you are too strong. We are all dead. Do you want to see who is better? Madara was dissatisfied. If it weren't for that crazy woman, I could have defeated you. Hashirama shook his head slightly. As the Jubi's Jinchuriki, you were taken away by others. It proves that you fell into their calculations long ago. You lost. Madara was stunned and sighed. You're right. If I had insisted and got my eyes back, maybe it wouldn't have ended like this. He was originally summoned as the Edo Tensei. At this moment, his soul gradually left his body, flashing with the light of the soul. I didn't expect that my brother would become a hero who saved the world. Looking at Sasuke, Itachi looked complicated. If I could face your potential and find a way to buy time instead of using such drastic means, maybe it would be a different scene now. Fugaku also sighed. I always compare you with Itachi. I think you are not as good as Itachi and can't carry the burden of Uchiha, but now it seems that I'm shallow. Sasuke laughed at himself. Hero? My dream when I was a child was never to be a hero. I just wanted to be you, to be the pride of Uchiha. Mikoto encouraged him. Sasuke, you are now the last member of Uchiha. The important task of giving birth to Uchiha is handed over to you. You must have 10, no 20 children. Sasuke was speechless. In front of Naruto, Minato put his hands on his shoulders. I'm sorry, Naruto. I'm not a qualified father. Not only did I not shelter you from the wind and rain, but I also let you bear the pressure that you shouldn't bear at your age. Naruto grinned. I used to complain about you, but now I'm proud of you, Dad. Thank you, Naruto. Minato rubbed Naruto's head, and the corner of his mouth rose slightly. The Fuyuki family asked Sasuke to have 20 children. I don't ask for much in this regard. 5 is enough. Naruto touched his stomach blankly. Can I have a boy? Kato smiled and waved at Tsunade. Tsunade, this time I really won't see you again. Tsunade smiled and wiped her tears. You bastard, can't you wait for me for a few more years on the road to the underworld? Kato shook his head. If you came early, I wouldn't know you. Jiraiya looked at them with jealousy in the distance. It's obviously a story of 3 people, but he can't have a name. In a burst of laughter, almost all the Edo Tensei's faces were filled with happy smiles. After their last wish was fulfilled, a white beam of light shrouded them. It was like an aurora light beam connecting heaven and earth. It was spectacular. On the other side, Rikudo separated the Jubi again. 9 cute big-tailed beasts sat in a row and divided the fruit. After dividing the fruit, Shikaku was dissatisfied. Old man Rikudo, why is my chakra the least? The other tailed beasts also followed. There must be something wrong with the way you divide the chakra. Why does a fox like Kurama have more chakra than all of us combined? Kurama argued. Strength needs a strong heart to control it. If I give you strength, can you control it? Besides, even if it was me, wasn't I also locked up in a cage and became a spiritual beast for someone? The tailed beasts were still unconvinced, but after listening to Kurama's words, they gave up. Indeed, the more chakra you have, the easier it is to be targeted. Boring. Seeing that they solved the conflict by themselves, Rikudo wiped his sweat with a guilty conscience. Ah, Kurama is right. That's it. I'll go first. Aizen, who was watching this scene from a distant mountain peak, said indifferently. Sorry, I'm going to tear this warm scene apart. Chapter 573. In the underworld, Black Zetsu, who was hiding, pretended to be a ghost. At this moment, he didn't know that his beloved mother had been sealed again. Just as he was waiting carefully, Aizen's voice sounded in his mind. Start. Is it going to start? Black Zetsu summoned the 26 Shinigami. Shinigami ABC. Z, kill him. In the human world. Six Paths, who was about to run away, suddenly groaned. His body made of chakra faded a lot. Obviously he was injured. Kurama and the other tailed beasts couldn't believe their eyes. This was Six Paths, who could hurt Otsutsuki when he was sealed. The Pure Land. Six Paths didn't care about his injury. He frowned and was about to escape into the underworld. But at the instant he entered the netherworld, the sealed truth-seeking jade suddenly exploded, and it erupted with an extremely powerful might. This might caused his heart to palpitate incessantly, and he felt as if he was close to death. There was no time to think. Six Paths immediately used the truth-seeking ball to defend himself. However, the attack was too fierce and the distance was too close. Even Six Paths' defense was blown in half. This sudden change shocked everyone who was celebrating. Why did the Six Paths immortal suddenly split open? Madara, Ichiki, and Kagaya were all defeated. Was there another enemy? The souls who were about to ascend were also stunned. What was going on? The Pure Land was sealed and isolated. They couldn't go back? Although his body was blown in half, Six Paths didn't care. He looked at Ichiki in disbelief. Are you crazy? You burned your origin? Although the strength of the truth-seeking ball seal was not as strong as Chibaku Tensei, it was definitely not easy to break. Ichiki burned his life origin to break the seal. But when he broke the seal, he was dead. This was what Six Paths couldn't understand. For Otsutsuki, whose life was almost infinite, there was hope as long as he didn't die. A temporary victory or defeat didn't mean anything. Moreover, he didn't think that Ichiki would be so unyielding. If Ichiki was so irritable, he wouldn't have lived until now. Ichiki's eyes were crazy. Haha, all of this is to make Otsutsuki great again. No, his consciousness is being controlled by someone. Seeing the madness in Ishire's eyes, Six Paths felt fear for the first time since his mother was sealed away. Otsutsuki's first style was silently controlled by someone. That was the superior warrior of the Otsutsuki clan, the existence at the top of the food chain in the endless starry sky. Who could control him? Moreover, the person who controlled the first style forced him to self-destruct? This world was too crazy. In fact, Aizen felt it was a pity. If it wasn't for the fact that he had no other choice, he wouldn't want to abandon such a powerful puppet that was completely obedient to him. But the level of Koto Amatsukami of Shursui was too low. Even with Pusher's golden Rinnegan to strengthen his eyes, and the premise of eating his own eyes and being weakened to the extreme, this kind of rewriting thinking could only last for a period of time. Therefore, he had no choice but to take advantage of this period of time to unleash his remaining heat. At this moment, the samsara was temporarily sealed in the gap between the modern realm and the underworld, and the modern realm was in chaos. What's going on? Where is the enemy? Grandpa Rikudo, what's wrong with you? In this chaotic and panicked situation, Aizen slowly walked down from the sky. He gently flicked his sleeves, and the souls that were suddenly stuck on the way to the sky all flew towards him uncontrollably. What's wrong? Who's sucking my soul? Although Aizen didn't express his attitude and position, in this sensitive period, his actions were very revealing. Therefore the alliance was active again. This guy looks ordinary, he doesn't look like a powerful character. Who cares who he is? We even defeated Madara and Kagaya, one more enemy doesn't make a difference. However, Mizuki shouted. Wait, don't do anything. Everyone looked at him subconsciously and saw that Mizuki, who was always calm and steady, was sweating at this moment. nervously looking at the sky. Of course, he was nervous. In addition to the unpredictable ability of the other party, it was also because of the bordered soil speculation. Suspected to be Garashi from a parallel world, just this sentence was enough to show the horror of the other party. Seeing Mizuki so nervous and scared, Tsunade asked, "Is he strong?" Mizuki recalled the situation of the other party playing with the whole ninja world and said with a dignified face, "He's more evil than Madara, more terrifying existence. I suspect that the predicament of the Six Paths Sannin was caused by him." Everyone couldn't believe it. In the past, Madara was the ceiling of the ninja world, not to mention that he became the Jinchuriki of the Jubi, but today the villain who jumped out, how can a person be more powerful than him? Isn't it too exaggerated? Moreover, the other party is different from Madara, Kagaya, and Ichiki who have horns on their heads. Obviously he has the style of an ordinary human. While they were exchanging information, Madara, who turned into a soul, roared, "A mere speck of sand dares to play with my soul?" Among the souls that flew to Aizen, Madara was undoubtedly the most powerful one. Although he became the Jubi's Jinchuriki for only 3 days, his soul has undergone essential changes. Under his leadership, a series of powerful souls such as Hashirama, Nagato, and Jiraiya broke free from the unknown suction. "Don't try to control us. We have broken free from the shackles of the Edo Tensei, and we are freer than anyone else." The power of a group of souls converged and erupted with unparalleled power. Even the space of the world was faintly distorted and folded. Seeing this, everyone in the alliance was excited. So powerful, worthy of the names of the souls in the history of the ninja world. Haha, he underestimated the power of ninja. It seems that we don't need to do anything. However, Mizuki's eyes were dignified. It's impossible to succeed. This man has the terrible ability to play with the world. In the sky, Aizen commented with interest. "Goodwill, but unfortunately a pure soul is useless. It's okay to deal with ordinary people, but it's useless against me." As soon as he finished speaking, an extremely powerful soul force spread out in all directions with him as the center. The souls that were originally powerful fainted as if they were electrocuted, and then they were attracted by Aizen. Madara's powerful soul only lasted a few seconds longer than the others before he lost consciousness. As if he had just completed a trivial matter, Aizen ignored the stunned alliance and calmly summoned Ichiki. "Now give me all your power." Chapter 574. "Yes, I will give my soul and the Jubi," Ichibi said fanatically. Aizen's eyes flashed. "What did you say, Jubi?" Ichibi said without hesitation. "Yes, I control the second Jubi." Aizen's eyes narrowed slightly. He originally planned to use Ichibi's soul as the core, Madara and the other ascended souls as the inner layer, and the part of the soul torn from the underworld as the outer layer to create a 3-layered structure of the Hogyoku. But when Ichibi mentioned the second Jubi, his mind became active again. "Can I make the Jubi a part of the Hogyoku?" But he quickly denied this conjecture. The Hogyoku was created to be a transit station for him to further cultivate the divine system, to prevent the soul from being contaminated. To be precise, it was to let the Hogyoku filter out the power that may contaminate his soul. In this way the Hogyoku must be pure. It's not a simple superposition of power. The Jubi and the Hogyoku are not in the same system. However, it would be a waste to give up the Jubi. "Yes, the origin of my body." Aizen was shocked and he quickly thought of the use of the Jubi, to replace the core of his body. His body was built with the chakra of the 9-tailed beasts as the core and the Ryumayaku chakra as the outer layer. In the early stage it was okay, but as the enemies he faced became stronger and stronger, the role of this body became smaller and smaller, and most of the time, it was not as good as the enemy. Although he looked very strong now, his real strength was not as good as Ichibi and Rikudo. Of course this refers to their peak state. And now it was the best time for him to upgrade the hardware of his body. Thinking of this, Aizen was not in a hurry to let Ichibi kill himself. "Go and bring me the Jubi." "Yes." Ichibi directly opened the portal and strode in. They didn't deliberately hide their conversation, so when they saw Ichibi leave, everyone in the alliance was very anxious. It's not easy to seal the Geto Mazo on the moon. Why is there another Jubi? Does he want to become the Jubi's Jinchuriki? This guy is already so strong when he's not even a Jubi's Jinchuriki. When he completes his transformation, who else in this world can be his opponent? In the sky, Black Mud jumped onto Aizen's sleeve and praised, "Brother, you're amazing. You can even control an existence like Ichiki." Although he already knew that his mother had been sealed again, he wasn't worried. With the 6 paths sealed and the 1 style controlled, who else in this world could be their opponent? He was invincible. Aizen took the initiative to explain. I asked you to negotiate with Ichii. When he secretly searched your memories, he was already infected by me. The reason he said this was to prevent the 6 paths of samsara from associating the Kotoama Tsukimi with his own body. Although the 6 Daos had fallen into his trap, he would never believe that the 6 Daos had no power to fight back. The main body's purpose was to attack Aizen at a critical moment, so that the 6 paths wouldn't fight him to the death. Heiju didn't think too much about it. He just asked, Big brother, when are we going to save Mother? Mother? The 6 paths, who was stuck between life and death, couldn't help but think, their mother's backup? No wonder they can control Ichiki. Before Aizen could answer, the allied army had already surrounded them. They knew that the enemy was strong, but no matter how strong he was, he couldn't be stronger than Kagaya. Defeating so many strong enemies gave them a lot of confidence. Even if they were facing an unknown enemy, they were still confident. Curse, Chidori. Curse, Millennium Kill. The allied army attacked Aizen together, but as soon as their attacks landed on him, he turned into a shadow and reappeared in another place. They continued to chase, and Aizen continued to run. In the blink of an eye, they had run through the entire battlefield. Damn it, do you only know how to hide? Raikage cursed. Hide. Aizen's laughter came from behind them. I haven't moved since the beginning of the battle. Hearing this, the allied army subconsciously looked back and saw Aizen standing in the same place as if he was watching a show. How is that possible? Don't be fooled by him, he must have sneaked back and pretended that he didn't move to put pressure on us. But at this moment, a voice full of fear sounded. No, look around. Why is everyone down? Hearing this voice, everyone quickly looked around. The allied army was densely lying on the ground. The soldiers of the Alliance army who had fallen to the ground looked at them with confusion and fear in their eyes. Don't come over. Don't hit us, we'll be stupid. Raikage pointed at himself in disbelief. You said I was hitting you? Yunin's ninja smiled bitterly. Everyone is under his genjutsu. Raikage muttered to himself. In other words, we've been fighting with our own people? Gaara took a deep breath. Then what he said is true, he didn't move from the beginning of the battle. The allied army looked at Aizen again, but this time, their eyes were different from before. They were full of fear. However, they were the strongest in the shinobi world, and naturally they wouldn't be afraid of a genjutsu. Everyone be careful, be alert. 2 people in a group, disrupt the chakra in time. This was a common method to deal with genjutsu. Hearing their discussion, the allied army was even more afraid. No, this is the 10th time. Please don't try again. Anoki's eyes widened. What did you say? The 10th time? A rock Crypsis ninja said in fear. All of your cognition, senses, and consciousness are under his control, you can't win. At this time, Gaara suddenly asked. Is it possible that your cognition has been modified? In his perception, only a short period of time has passed, far less than 10 battles. Our cognition has been modified? The rock Crypsis ninja froze for a moment and then shouted crazily. Haha, I don't know anything, don't ask me. Seeing this situation, everyone's heart was covered with a layer of haze. Mizuki's voice was dry. I said it's useless. He's different from Otsutsuki, who only knows how to suppress people with strength. He's a devil who plays with people's hearts and souls. Numbers mean nothing to him. Everyone calmed down and thought about it. Indeed, the opponent is completely different from Otsutsuki. Just like the truth-seeking ball mastered by Madara, it's absolute suppression of ninjutsu. But once they start to use senjutsu, the battle will evolve into a competition of strength, defense, vitality, and other attributes between the 2 sides. And this man's genjutsu has completely exceeded the definition of genjutsu in the shinobi world. It's a completely unknown field. At this time, Sasuke sneered. A mere genjutsu, is it worth it for you to be so afraid? Hearing his voice, everyone's heart ignited with hope. The one who is least afraid of genjutsu is undoubtedly Sasuke, who has awakened Rinnegan. Looking at everyone's expression, Sasuke smiled proudly. I'll be back soon. With that said, he used his dojutsu to the extreme, used Susanoo, and walked out with his odachi in hand. Then, under everyone's expectant eyes, he turned and swung his odachi at Naruto. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but cover their faces in despair. It's over. Chapter 575. Sasuke, wake up. It's over, even Sasuke is confused by genjutsu. Just as everyone was complaining, Karen suddenly asked, Is it only Sasuke who saw the truth, and we are the ones who fell into genjutsu? This? Although everyone instinctively felt that Karen was trying to excuse Sasuke, it wasn't impossible. After all, Sasuke was the one with the strongest resistance to genjutsu, so it was reasonable for them to be confused. Gaara sighed, even if Sasuke didn't fall into genjutsu, what can we do? Go up and help him fight? Everyone's morale instantly plummeted. Indeed, for such an invincible enemy, the truth didn't matter. Even if they knew that Sasuke was fighting with the enemy, they didn't dare to intervene. Now that they saw the enemy, it was hard to say who would be the one fighting later. It seems that the best way for us now is to stay in place. Raikage's face was very ugly. As long as we don't move, he can't do anything to us. Naive. Mizuki sneered, do you think he's only good at genjutsu? He used genjutsu because it's the easiest way. Then why didn't he? Raikage quickly woke up and asked with a gloomy face, you mean he could have defeated us long ago and now he's just playing with us? Do you finally understand? Mizuki sighed, he never put us in his eyes, but we should be glad that he didn't put us in his eyes. Otherwise we would have died long ago. Hearing this, everyone felt even more humiliated, but at the same time, they couldn't help but feel much more relaxed. Although Madara and Kagaya were strong, they at least knew how to defeat the enemy, and their efforts could be seen. But this man in front of them, they didn't know what to do at all, and every time he attacked he would accurately hit his teammates. In this case they didn't even have the morale to fight. You're just... Naruto, why are you lying on the ground? Hearing Sasuke's voice, everyone sighed, and their mentality became more and more relaxed, feeling a sense of self-abandonment. At this time, a dark door opened in the void. Ichikushi walked out of the door and arrived in front of Aizen. He dug out the Byakugan on the left. The Jubi is sealed in this eye. Although Aizen didn't like Otsutsuki's behavior, he still took the eye and said in the tone of a big capitalist. Very good, next give me your soul. Without any hesitation he threw his soul into Aizen's nebula. With the ascended souls as planets and the remaining souls as meteorites and star fragments, all of them began to revolve around this star. It was like a real galaxy with a deep and mysterious charm. However, everyone knew how dangerous it was to be under this charm. This man actually used a technique in the souls of a group of strong warriors to refine a relic. Damn it, Dad, Jiraiya-sensei. Naruto's eyes were red and he wanted to rush up. Gaara quickly held him down. Calm down. We are no match for him. Don't provoke him. Kakashi also tried to dissuade her. Are you sure it's him? Naruto clenched his fists and finally bowed his head weakly. I'm not sure. In this silent atmosphere, a woman with a light blue paper flower on her head suddenly flapped her wings and flew towards Aizen. Aizen smiled and asked, Conan, what's the matter? Conan looked like he wanted to say something, but he couldn't help but ask, Uncle, what will happen to their souls? Aizen smiled. They will disappear and become part of the Hogyoku. Disappear? Conan couldn't help but ask. Isn't that too cruel? Unlike Conan of this time and space, she didn't experience so much pain. She still retained the original kindness in her heart. Naturally, she was sensitive to such things. Not to mention, among those souls was Nagato Yahiko's soul. Cruel, how can it be? Aizen smiled and shook his head. I have always been very tolerant of the living just like them. Aizen pointed to the ninja allied forces, then continued. However, the dead are different. They blur the line between life and death. They will only disturb the peace of this world, just like this shinobi world war. Instead of letting such an unbalanced group continue to exist, it's better to let them become my strength and bring hope to the world of the living. Conan was stunned for a moment, then he asked with expectation. Can you let go of Nagato and Yahiko alone? Although they aren't the Nagato and Yahiko I know, I still hope that traces of their existence can remain in this world. Aizen took off his glasses helplessly. Really? Do I have to say it so clearly? You are just a chess piece in my hand, a chess piece that has lost its value. How can I change my plan for you? Conan's pupils trembled as he shook his head frantically. It's not like this, uncle, you are not such a person. I understand you must have a reason that you can't explain, but you don't want me to get involved. Is that why you deliberately said this? Looking at her frightened eyes, Aizen didn't have the slightest intention to soften his heart. Sorry, I am no longer interested in playing games with you. From today on I will stand in the sky. Seeing that she wanted to say something, Black Zetsu laughed. Stupid, do you think that a noble existence like Big Brother will sincerely communicate with lower creatures like you? You're the same. Black Setsu's arrogant laughter froze on his face as he stuttered. Big brother, what are you talking about? Aizen picked up Black Setsu and smiled gently. You are just a chess piece that I used to erode the first style. The first style's mission has been completed, and you have no value. Black Setsu shook his body in disbelief. Impossible, big brother, did you forget that we have to save mother? It's true that people don't want to wake up from their dreams, but this is stupid. Aizen shook his head slightly and released him. Black Setsu, who was casually thrown away, fell to the ground like a salted fish that had lost its dream. He muttered to himself. Impossible, impossible. If it was any other time they might have gloated over his misfortune, but now, there was only fear and despair in their hearts. This man wasn't only strong, but his heart was as hard as iron. There was almost no flaw in him. Chapter 576. What will he do next? Is he going to kill us? Damn it, is there really no other way? The Alliance members were filled with righteous indignation. They wanted to fight to the death, but when they thought of the possibility of losing the lives of their allies, their morale quickly plummeted. I can't stay silent anymore. Six Pats, who was stuck between the underworld and the human world, sighed. His eyes became resolute when he saw Aizen's terrifying aura. I'll think about the future, at least I can't lose the present. He'd originally intended to preserve his strength for the future calamity, but under such circumstances he couldn't continue hesitating. Just as he was about to burn the underworld's power, a voice sounded in his mind. Six-Pad-sama, please be patient, I'm coming to save you. It's Garashi, his main body is here. Six-Pad's spirit rose and suppressed his thoughts. Then I'll have to trouble you. It was only then that the palpitations in Shushi's heart gradually disappeared. He thought to himself, he really does have the strength to take me down with him. Fortunately, I now have a certain understanding of the space-time ability so I can predict this danger in advance. Looks like I have to have a good fight in front of them to dispel their dangerous thoughts. Thinking of this, Garashi flew faster and appeared on the battlefield like a meteor. You're finally willing to come out, Aizen? I should be the one saying that, Shimizu. Seeing Garashi's arrival, the Alliance members were excited. Great, Garashi-sama is here. Wait, is this that guy's illusion again? Idiot, does he need to go through so much trouble to deal with us? Garashi was already familiar with this kind of double act. He said in a deep voice, if you want to lure me here, you've succeeded. Oh, in order to create a fair battle illusion I spent a lot of effort. Aizen smiled and pointed at the Ninja Alliance below. It's difficult to control the strength of an ant without crushing it. Hearing this, the Alliance members' faces turned ugly. Damn it, what does this guy think we are? Such an arrogant tone, I really want to punch him in the face. Garashi took a deep breath. In that case, let's not waste everyone's time, let's have a good fight. Saying this, Shushi turned into a light track and flew towards Aizen. He punched Aizen's body and broke him into pieces. Before anyone could celebrate, Aizen's broken body was pieced back together. He looked at Garashi with horror, and said, I was almost killed by you. Shushi's expression was calm. Don't pretend. You wouldn't be so slow to react. You deliberately let me kill you once just to let my guard down. Seriously, can't you be like those idiots and be played by me? Aizen sighed and waved his right hand. Countless swords appeared around him and shot towards Shushi like arrows. Garashi was too lazy to make hand seals. He waved his hand and used light release. Yasukani no Magatama. Countless light beams flew out of his hand and shot towards the flying swords. The space between the two instantly exploded, and almost all the flying swords were broken. However, after the swords were destroyed, they instantly recovered. Just like how Aizen came back from the dead, they could be reborn again and again. Seeing this, everyone in the Alliance army was dumbfounded. What the hell is going on? Is it an illusion again? That's not right. Lord Shushi did say that he killed him once. And what kind of ninjutsu are these flying swords? Sword release. At this time, Sasuke said in a deep voice. It's Izanagi. Izanagi? Sasuke explained with a dignified face. The Uchiha clan used a perfect genjutsu that can reverse illusion and reality at the cost of permanent blindness in one eye. Gaara understood and asked in shock. You mean he turned death into a dream and then turned the flying swords in the dream into reality? Naruto hurriedly asked. But he doesn't seem to be an Uchiha. And he didn't lose his sight. Don't you understand? Sasuke took a deep breath. The Uchiha clan used a perfect genjutsu at the cost of one eye. In his hands it's probably similar to the Sanzho Jutsu. Everyone was shocked. It was unreasonable to think that he could use a genjutsu that could rewrite reality. Even Rikudo was shocked. If Kekkei Tensei is the most comprehensive ability of all attributes, then his understanding of genjutsu is probably the most specialized in Inton. Seeing everyone's reaction, Aizen thought to himself. After all, it's impossible to fight a real life-and-death battle with the main body. I can only make it more beautiful and deceive them with jutsu beyond their knowledge. As for whether Rikudo would see through it or not, he wasn't worried. Rikudo wasn't omniscient and omnipotent. It was impossible for him to know about the jutsu he developed. At the very least, even if the sixth Tao had seen through him, he could only choose to remain silent. After all, he was putting on an act to leave peacefully. Exposing the truth would only make things worse. Thinking of this, Aizen smiled and removed the flying swords that were besieging Garashi. With a snap of his fingers, tens of thousands of shadows suddenly surrounded Garashi. Since the flying swords won't work, let's try my ninja allied forces jutsu. Seeing that the enemy even copied them, the allied forces widened their eyes in disbelief. Is this a lie? Did he summon an entire army by himself? No wonder he said that he was just playing with us. With his ability, he can make us fall into a bitter battle with just a thought. Maybe these phantoms are just for show. They don't know our ninjutsu at all. However, the ninjutsu used by the fake ninja allied forces broke their last hope. They used all their ninjutsu, especially the beam of light that was shot at Garashi. Inoki's pupils shrank. He even copied my dust release. How did he do it? Kakashi smiled bitterly. He is much more suitable for the title of ninja plagiarist than I am. Facing the siege of 80,000 allied forces, Garashi first released his spiritual pressure, and the weaker phantoms burst like bubbles. Then he turned into light and shuttled back and forth in the crowd. In just a few breaths, the massive pirate ninja alliance was completely annihilated. Seeing this, the allied forces didn't know whether to be happy or sad. They were happy because they saw the hope of victory, and sad because the entire shinobi world was like a toy in their eyes. They could either copy or destroy. Is the ninja allied forces so shameless? Chapter 577. Aizen did not react much to the destruction of the pirate ninja alliance. Instead, he looked at them with interest. Sure enough, these ninjas are useless. Next, try my space fleet. Countless giant steel ships floated in the air, their surfaces glowing with a cold light. They looked like giant beasts from the stars. The next moment, these giant beasts opened their mouths and fired countless cannonballs and light beams at Garashi. Some of the light beams inadvertently swept across the ground, instantly turning mountains into dust and forming deep canyons on the ground. The Alliance army hurriedly fled for their lives. It felt like the end of the world had arrived. What are these things? They're so scary. Could it be that he imagined it out of thin air? Is this the power of alien technology? How did he know? Rikudo muttered. It's because of Otsutsuki's memories. In the midst of this terrible baptism of fire, Shushi took the brunt of the attack and met it head-on. With one punch he blew up the battleship. The other battleships quickly turned their cannons and aimed at him. However, these attacks, which were powerful enough to shatter mountains and tear the earth apart, only made him sway slightly when they landed on him. Everyone's eyes twitched when they saw this. What was Garashi-sama's body made of? It was too hard, wasn't it? He was a real man made of steel. I should be able to take on the Hashiman now. Garashi evaluated in his heart as he destroyed the surrounding battleships. But as soon as he destroyed the space fleet, more than a dozen giant mechas appeared out of thin air. Gundam, Monster, Ultraman. One by one, Aizen summoned creatures from his imagination to fight for him. Seeing this, the Alliance army was numb. Once upon a time, they thought that their imagination was limited by poverty. But now, they realized that they had no imagination at all. After tearing Godzilla apart once more, Rinsei stopped in midair and looked at the galaxy in Aizen's hand. Even you can't use such a powerful ability without limit. Is it because of your noble phantasm that you're able to do so? Is it because of your noble phantasm? Also, you seem to be using me to destroy the remnant will. Have you finally discovered it? Aizen smiled. Just like the clothes you buy, it's best to wash them first. Thank you for polishing this Hogyoku. As expected of a man who has schemed against two worlds. Garashi praised him sincerely, and then changed the topic in the midst of the exclamation of, "I'm so awesome. However, I've never had the habit of working for free. As a reward for my efforts, you can give me half of the Hogyoku you mentioned." Aizen smiled. Then I'm the opposite. I don't have the habit of paying labor. If you want to maliciously ask for a salary, then I'll make you work until you die. The light of the sun will not tolerate such dark things. Shushi was like the sun, radiating endless light and heat. It was so dazzling that everyone could not open their eyes. Solar fist. Everyone's eyes were closed, and only a few perceptive ninjas could sense that there were two incomparably powerful chakra clashing with each other in the sea of light in the sky. Are you trying to seal my vision? Unfortunately, this trick won't work on me. Aizen pretended to explain in the sky. Of course, I know that sealing your vision won't work on you, but this trick is more than that. Garashi also explained the battle between the two. The sea of light in the sky suddenly boiled, and each beam of light turned into a clone of Garashi, and in an instant he punched Aizen hundreds of thousands of times. In terms of physical strength, Aizen was naturally far inferior to the main body, but Garashi cooperated very well, turning the main attacks into aftershocks that slid to the ground. Less than 1/10 of the power actually fell on Aizen's body. The two cooperated seamlessly, and with the light pollution, no one could see any clues. Even the six paths couldn't see clearly because they were in the gap between the two worlds. Amazing, they can go so far on the path outside of chakra. If they can absorb the Jubi, they might be even stronger than me at my peak. Although the two were fighting thousands of meters high in the sky, the aftershocks were enough to collapse the ground. The land that was previously ravaged by Madara and Kagaya was once again ravaged. The original plains and hills were now ravaged into cliffs and canyons. It was extremely dangerous. The allied forces were panicking, squinting their eyes and running around. They didn't even have the mood to watch the battle. How long will they fight? The end of the world? The end of the world? It's already the end of the world. Seeing that the acting was almost done, Garashi took back the Sea of Light, and after another violent collision, both of them were sent flying. Garashi said in a deep voice, "Your taijutsu is indeed powerful, but it's still not as good as mine." Aizen smiled helplessly. "There's no other way, there's no sword in this world that can bear my power. But I still have this," Aizen said as he lifted the Hogyoku and prepared to absorb its power. But just as he was about to swallow it, a few fluorescent lights flickered, and his body stiffened for a moment. Garashi took the opportunity to grab the Hogyoku. Although Aizen reacted quickly and broke free from the influence, it was too late to protect the Hogyoku, so he decisively grabbed it and crushed it. In front of everyone's shocked eyes, the two each took half of the Hogyoku. Garashi chuckled softly, "It seems that I have succeeded in maliciously asking for a payday." Aizen didn't get angry, but he asked thoughtfully, "While I was scheming against you, you were also scheming against me?" Garashi shook his head slightly and took the initiative to explain, "The truth-seeking ball that Otsutsuki ate contained Shirsue's eyes." Shirsue's eyes couldn't have affected him, but you used my hand to polish the remnant will in the Hogyoku, giving me a chance to use Shirsue's eyes. Success or failure is also a result of one move. Aizen pretended to sigh a few times, and his figure gradually faded. "This time I lost, but I will soon get it back from you in that world." After saying that, his figure completely disappeared. "It seems that the six paths didn't see through my performance," Garashi muttered in his heart and flew down. Seeing that the battle was over, the allied forces almost cried with joy. It's finally over. Is the war finally over? But some people were still afraid. First Bordered Soil and Madara, then Ichikushi and Kagaya, and finally Aizen. There shouldn't be any more enemies, right? If one more comes, I will kill myself on the spot. It's no wonder that they were so scared. These villains were too terrifying, coming out one after another, and their strength was more terrifying than the previous one. In the past, they thought that the 5 great ninja villages were the protagonists of the world, but now it seems that they can't even be regarded as supporting roles. Just like the role they played in this war, at most they were just onlookers. Chapter 578. Seeing Garashi flying towards them, Naruto greeted him happily. "Brother Garashi, great, you defeated that arrogant man." However, Garashi shook his head slightly. "At first I thought I won this game for the time being, but now I have some doubts." "Doubts?" Naruto asked, tilting his head. Garashi pondered. With his ability, there's no reason for him to fail at the last step. With that said, Garashi looked at the half of the Hogyoku in his hand. Perhaps he did all this on purpose. Then why did he do this? Naruto looked at him blankly. He spent so much effort and in the end he sent half of the fruit to you. Isn't there something wrong with his brain? At this time, Sasuke suddenly said, "Just like Orochimaru trained me before, that man may also want to eat the sweetest fruit at the most appropriate time." Naruto said thoughtfully, "Oh, it turns out that he took a fancy to Garashi brother's Mokutan, and wanted brother to grow fruits for him." Sasuke almost stumbled and fell. "Idiot, I mean he wants to wait for Garashi-sama to digest the essence of the half of the Hogyoku before seizing Garashi-sama's power." Naruto said aggrievedly, "Why don't you just say seizing power? Why do you have to guess riddles?" Sasuke was too lazy to pay attention to him, and turned to look at the half of the Hogyoku in Garashi's hand. This noble phantasm contains extremely powerful power. I guess it's difficult for him to digest it alone, and the only one who is qualified to share this power for him is you, Garashi-sama. That's why he spent so much effort to lure you out." Shushi nodded in agreement. "This is very much like his plan. It's too despicable and insidious, he even schemed against himself." Naruto exclaimed, "Otherwise, Garashi-sama, you can directly destroy this noble phantasm. By the way, can Dad's soul be restored?" Garashi shook his head. "It's already irreversible. As for destroying it, I don't intend to do that." Naruto was worried. "But if you don't destroy it, that guy will keep staring at you, right?" Someone asked worriedly. "That guy called Aizen escaped. What if he comes back?" Garashi comforted her. "Don't worry. If I'm not wrong, he won't bother you anymore." "Ah? Really?" Garashi did not answer directly. Instead, he turned to talk about other things. "The disaster of this world is not over yet. As they revealed before, Ichiki and Kagaya come from a planet called Otsutsuki. The people on this planet enjoy eating chakra. As long as this threat is not resolved, the sword hanging over our heads will not disappear." Hearing this, everyone felt their vision darken. "What? Are there many more monsters like them? It's over. This world is hopeless." "Don't be depressed." Garashi encouraged them. "Didn't you defeat Ichiki and Kagaya? Moreover, I came to this world to help you resist the disaster." When they calmed down a little, Garashi continued. "Although his approach is different, I suspect that the man called Aizen has the same idea of saving the world as I do." Hearing this, everyone couldn't believe it. "How is that possible? That man almost killed us. Moreover, he refined the souls of so many people. He also abandoned his loyal subordinates. Such a person doesn't look like a good person, right? Being a good person and saving the world don't conflict." Garashi sighed. "I also had some guesses after getting this half of the Hogyoku. If my idea is to unite all forces to fight against Otsutsuki, then he wants to use the power to fight against the enemy alone." Everyone was dumbfounded when they heard this. Fight against Otsutsuki alone? There's such a madman? It does seem a bit like that. Didn't he say that he has always been tolerant of the living? Except for Otsutsuki's Ichiki, he doesn't seem to have killed anyone. Hearing these discussions, Konan, who was sitting in the distance, suddenly had hope. "Is it because Uncle wants to save the world?" Garashi continued. "As for why I said that he probably won't bother you, it's because there's no power in this world that's worthy of his scheme." Everyone was a little depressed. Are they really so worthless in the eyes of Aizen? With that said, Garashi looked at Naruto. "This is why I don't intend to destroy this half of the Hogyoku. If I fail in the final battle, I'll let him absorb my power to protect the world." Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but respect him. Even if he was defeated and died, he was willing to be a stepping stone to protect the world. What a noble spirit. Naruto pursed his lips. No wonder he said that instead of letting the souls that disturb the balance of the world exist, it's better to let those souls become his power and bring hope to the world of the living. If it's for the survival of the world, father should be willing to sacrifice his soul. After saying the word filial piety, Naruto clenched his fist again. "However, I hope that it's Garashi Dage who uses this power to save the world. So, brother Garashi Dage, you must win." Garashi was silent for a moment. "I will win and save the world." "Oh, I'm sorry to trouble you." Suddenly, Rikudo's figure appeared and thanked Garashi. After repeatedly confirming that Rikudo wasn't being sarcastic, Garashi smiled slightly. "I'm just doing what I should do." Rikudo's eyes were filled with admiration. He grabbed Black Zetsu, who hadn't come out of his salted fish state. Since he recognized that person as his big brother, he must know a lot about that person. "Do you want to capture him and interrogate him?" Garashi decisively refused. No, with that man's caution, he must know what the other party wants him to know. With that said, Garashi looked at Konan, who was in a daze in the distance. "Do you want to go back with me?" "Me?" Conan looked at him with some uneasiness. You're not going to capture me? Garashi smiled. Since I promised Nagato that I won't deliberately target you, naturally, I won't go back on my words. Also, it looks like you've been bewitched by Aizen. Uncle didn't bewitch us. Conan blurted out, but he still didn't change his words. Uncle must have said that for the safety of the world. Is Aizen's charm that great? Garashi chuckled in his heart. If it was his main body who said those words, at least 80% of Woodleaf would follow him like Conan. Let's go back. Chapter 579. Stepping out of the dragon veins of Lulon, the stars changed and the world changed. When he opened his eyes again, the scenery was completely different. Conan looked disappointed as he followed behind Garashi with his head down. When he heard Mizuki's exclamation, he raised his head. Mizuki looked around in surprise. The Lulon in front of him was completely different from the bleak Lulon when they left. There were high-rise buildings everywhere, and there were even long trains flashing through the sky. It was a prosperous scene. Didn't Lulon emigrate to Woodleaf during the war? How could it be here? Garashi sighed. The flow of time between the two worlds is different. We only spent more than a month there, but here 8 years have passed. And in these 8 years, too many changes have happened. 8 years. Mizuki's eyebrows were a little blank, and he had a feeling of being derailed from the world. 8 years. Xiaonan had a panoramic view of the surrounding scenery and was extremely shocked. To develop a small border country to such an extent, let alone 8 years, even 80 years would be difficult to achieve, right? What happened in the past few years? Garashi said as he walked. Although the changes in Lulon are not small compared with Woodleaf, it is far worse. As the political center of the alliance, Woodleaf's development can be said to be changing with each passing day. As far as I know, those people in the scientific research department are already discussing going to the moon, and they intend to make the moon our second world. Hearing Garashi's words, both of them were shocked, and inexplicably felt like country people entering the city. They are starting to study going to the moon? I remember that it was not easy to climb the mountain before. Mizuki said with emotion. Conan's expression was complicated. Is this the change brought by the unification? Yes. Garashi nodded. This is the advantage brought by the establishment of the Ninja Alliance. The level of science and technology in the ninja world was not low, but it was relatively serious. After his vigorous rectification and support, and after he put forward the slogan of equal emphasis on science and ninjutsu, the entire ninja world's scientific and technological level developed rapidly. As for ninjutsu, it didn't stagnate because of the development of science and technology. On the contrary, because of various scientific theories and methods, ninjas can more deeply analyze the essence of chakra and ninjutsu. In the past, only one bloodline limit could be born every few decades or centuries. However, in the past 8 years, many new bloodline limits had appeared. Conan sighed. Your vision is indeed more profound than ours. Yahiko Nagato's loss is not unjustified. Garashi smiled. He had never seen them as opponents. Let's go back to Woodleaf. Alliance Raikage's office. Raikage was sweating profusely while doing one-finger push-ups in the gravity training chamber. Dotai looked at him worriedly and said, Raikage-sama, if you can't hold on, come out first. Raikage let out a sigh of relief. No, I can still hold on. How is it? Is the leader back? Tutai shook his head. Not yet. However, before the leader left, he said that the flow of time in the two worlds is different. A week has passed here, but the leader may have only passed a few hours there. After a pause, Tutai continued, besides, with the leader's current strength, who can hurt him? Raikage-sama, you don't have to worry at all. Even if I have to worry, I'm worried about his enemies. A complained, I'm thinking, how long will it take for him to come back? How much time do we have to prepare? Tutai was silent. How can I know? Forget it, I know it's useless to ask you. A sighed. Although it's already the 8th year, he proposed the next leader at the meeting before he left, which still caught me off guard. Tutai admired. He can let go of this kind of power just like that, he's worthy of being the leader. A nodded. The only person in this world who can make me admire is him. After a sigh, Tutai asked, Raikage-sama, how sure are you about the election? A pondered for a moment. Among the 10 elders, the 5 small ninja villages put forward. Among the 5, Anoki is old and weak. What qualifications does he have to compete with me? Raza is just a bootlicker, skip him. Empress Shomiai is a woman, but because she's the only woman among the 10 elders, most of the women in the alliance will vote for her, which is troublesome. As for Namikaze Minato, he's my real enemy in this election. After all, he took over the position of Naruto from the leader. Tutai nodded. I heard that in the casino 50% of the people bet on Naruto-sama, 30% on Raikage-sama, and 20% on Mizukage-sama. What? A was shocked and angry, and he was accidentally pressed to the ground by gravity, and then he struggled to raise his head. The people who think Namikaze Minato can win are more than me? He felt good about himself before, thinking that he and Namikaze Minato had a 40% chance and he had 60%. Tutai tactfully reminded, in the case of not having much to do with oneself, people will prioritize the better-looking one. A's face was gloomy. What do you mean? Is that Namikaze Minato more popular than me? Tutai was speechless. Raikage-sama, where did you get the courage to ask this question? Except for Yunan's style of muscle men, in the eyes of the other ninja villages, Namikaze Minato is 10 times better than you. As if he understood Tutai's thoughts, A asked angrily, is there no way to make them ignore the superficial appearance and see through the essence of me and him? Tutai was silent for a moment. If you want to increase the support, it's not impossible. A's spirit was lifted. What way? Say it. Tutai said, ninjas always rely on strength to speak. As long as Raikage-sama can defeat him in front of everyone, everyone will naturally choose to support you. I hesitated, but what excuse should I use to fight him? Besides, he has the Flying Thunder God Jutsu, I can't stop him. Tutai laughed. Use the arena to limit the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. As for the excuse, say that it's the world's first ninja conference. As long as Raikage-sama can win the title of the world's first ninja, everyone will naturally vote for you in the election. The world's first. A was eager to try, but immediately he was a little hesitant. The idea is good. But isn't the title of the world's first too ostentatious? If I win the title, what will the leader be? Tutai looked at him with a strange look. Do you still need to think about it? Of course, the leader will stand in the sky. A's mouth twitched. He didn't expect this conference to have the effect of flattery. Seeing that he didn't reply for a long time, Tutai asked, can't I? Do it. A said decisively, I'll bring it up in the next meeting. Chapter 580. Woodleaf. Naruto and Sasuke walked side by side. Did you hear? Neji and Tama got married. Naruto whispered. Sasuke was shocked. What? He's only 15? No, 16 years old, right? Naruto smiled. According to him, this is in response to Sensei's policy to encourage childbirth. Sensei's policy is naturally not wrong. Sasuke was in awe. Yeah. Naruto nodded again and again. If it weren't for Sensei's population statistics, I wouldn't have known that the shinobi world is so small. In the Fourth Shinobi World War, the 5 major ninja countries and the Country of Steel only organized more than 80,000 troops. Even if 1 in 100 people is a ninja, the whole world has no more than 10 million people. It's not enough to describe the sparse population. But when did Neji hook up with Tama? Is he trying to live off her? Sasuke wondered. It shouldn't be, right? Naruto defended Neji. He's a member of the Hyuga clan. How can he live off a rich woman? Sasuke waved his hand. He's a branch family with no inheritance rights. How much property can he get? I've always been a bit curious. Taijutsu is very expensive. If you don't take various medicinal baths and medicinal meals to nourish your body, you may leave hidden injuries in your body. But Neji doesn't seem to have any hidden injuries. Now that I think about it, maybe he sold his body to get money from Tama. What a shame. Hearing Sasuke's words, Naruto swallowed hard and hid the gold card that Hinata gave him on his birthday deeper. Naruto, why aren't you talking? Seeing that Naruto didn't respond for a long time, Sasuke asked. Naruto suddenly pointed to the sky. Look, there's a flying car. Sasuke looked up and saw an advanced flying car in the sky at an extremely fast speed. These racers are getting more and more outrageous. With that said, a pair of wings appeared behind Sasuke. With a flap of his wings, he appeared on the road in front of the flying car in a blink of an eye. After the flying car was forced to stop, a kid dressed in non-mainstream clothes poked his head out of the window. Which bastard? Ah, it's brother Sasuke. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Woodleaf Manamaru, I won't talk about your speeding. Where's your driver's license? Woodleaf Maru laughed. How can I get a driver's license at my age? So you still know that you're not old enough. Sasuke looked unkind. Go to the police station and turn yourself in. I won't, Sasuke Gidge, you're not a traffic policeman. Woodleaf Mamamaru shouted. Sasuke didn't even lift his eyelids. I'm a jonin and I'm qualified to supervise all illegal activities. Woodleaf Maru was depressed for a moment. He pursed his lips and said, fine, I'll go. Anyway, I have the protection law for minors. If anyone is to be punished, it should be my parents. The corner of Sasuke's mouth rose. It has been amended. The current minor protection law only protects the injured minors, not the minors who break the law. Woodleaf Maru immediately wailed, it's over. Sasuke ignored him and flapped his wings to fly down. Manjikyu Sharingan's ability is so convenient. Naruto's eyes were full of envy. Do you think it's easy to compress the Susanu's body and summon the wings? Sasuke rolled his eyes and touched his eyes with some palpitations. 3 years ago, after knowing that the man with kidney deficiency was his future self, he decisively asked Sensei to do stimulating training for him. After instilling part of Sasuke's memory, his Manjikyu did open. But that memory still made him feel some pain and fear. At the same time, he also understood what the future would be like without Sensei, and he was more grateful to Garashi in his heart. It doesn't seem easy. Naruto nodded thoughtfully and said with concern. I heard that if you use your ability too much, your eyes will go blind? It used to be like this. Sasuke rubbed his chin. But it's different now. I just need to go to Do Senpai's place and use Sensei's chakra to warm my eyes. As expected of Sensei. Naruto praised and asked. I heard that Do Senpai is assisting Orochi Maru-sama in researching humanoid hematopoietic Genkai. I wonder if it's successful? Humanoid hematopoietic Genkai. Sasuke smiled bitterly. If they really study it, the pride of our Kekkei Genkai will be completely trampled under their feet. I think it's good. Naruto nodded. If Kekkei Genkai can be freely chosen, Niji's child won't have to worry about the caged bird seal anymore. Garashi's house. Asuma circled around Shuei-mu and touched him up and down. He clicked his tongue in wonder and said, such smooth and delicate skin. No wonder you're 8 years younger than us. I really envy you, little brother Shuei-mu. Mizuki's face darkened. I'll release all snakes to bite you. I can understand young people's arrogance. Asuma smirked. Who told you to be 8 years younger than us? Seeing that Mizuki was really going to get angry, Rin quickly stood up and said, Mizuki-senpai, tell us what you saw in that world. Mizuki suppressed his anger and said calmly, I did see a lot of things in that world. Their final battle was even more intense than the Fourth Shinobi World War we experienced at that time. For example, the legendary Rikudo Sennin who created the world, Rikudo Sennin's mother, and Rikudo Sennin's mother's superior. Everyone who was originally calm couldn't believe it. I know about Rikudo Sennin, but what the hell is his mother and his mother's superior? What the hell happened in that time and space? The Great Myth War? Mizuki continued, it's almost the same as the Great Myth War. For example, Rikudo Sennin and his mother's superior went to outer space to fight. Even so, the entire shinobi world was almost broken by them. Everyone moved a small bench and sat beside him, exclaiming as if they were listening to a play. Not far away, Minato looked at Garashi and asked, is that time and space really so dangerous? Garashi nodded, just like Otsutsuki 3 years ago, we have been targeted and there is no way out. Minato smiled bitterly, in such a difficult situation, you still have to take the lead. Only your prestige can allow the alliance to continue moving at high speed. Garashi smiled and shook his head. About the election, how sure are you about it? Seeing that Garashi avoided talking about it, Minato naturally understood what he meant and couldn't help but sigh. Not much? Shinakushina on the side narrowed her eyes and a dangerous light flashed in her eyes. But how come I heard that you are very popular among the women, and many people call you the friend of women? Minato looked strange. You are wrong, in fact, Garashi is the most popular, but Garashi didn't participate in the election, so they took a step back and looked at me. Chapter 581. At the same time on the moon. Behind the space gate connecting the shinobi world and the moon, a sneaky figure was sneaking carefully while muttering, "After the disbandment of the Akatsuki, this is the first time Aizen has gathered us. I didn't expect the gathering to be on the moon, what a big deal." With that said, he felt a sense of pride in his heart. He also heard about the Ninja Alliance's plan to land on the moon. He was shocked before, but he didn't expect that the Alliance's power had already reached the moon. Even the alliance that gathered the entire shinobi world was one step behind in landing on the moon, which shows how strong the alliance is. And this time, Aizen's gathering made him have a hunch that the huge force hidden under the iceberg is finally coming to the surface. When he thought of this, he couldn't help but be excited. It seems that I won't have to hide anymore. Just as he was excited, he suddenly caught a glimpse of two figures in front of him. It's them? Raiga was overjoyed and hurriedly rushed forward. "Sasori Kisame, you are also here." Sasori turned around and saw Raiga with some doubts in his heart. With Aizen's power, why did he gather this guy? To make up the number of people or to liven up the atmosphere? However, he didn't say it out loud, he just nodded calmly, "It's me." Seeing Sasori just nodding, Raiga wasn't annoyed. Besides him, there were few normal people in the Akatsuki, so this kind of reaction was normal. Kisame smiled and said, "Raiga-senpai, long time no see." Raiga nodded with emotion. "Yeah, I didn't expect that the remnants of the Akatsuki would meet again one day." "Akatsuki?" Kisame and Sasori's eyes suddenly became strange. Raiga was confused. "What's wrong? Did I say something wrong?" Sasori said indifferently, "It seems that you really don't know that this is a gathering of the Akatsuki." "Akatsuki?" Raiga's eyes were blank, he felt wronged. "Haha, Sasori-senpai, don't tease Raiga-senpai." Kisame laughed. "Since Raiga-senpai is here, it means that Aizen-sama has accepted him. Besides, this is actually the first gathering of the Akatsuki after so many years." Hearing Kisame's explanation, Raiga relaxed a lot. "So this is also your first time here?" After that he quickly asked, "Do you know why Aizen-sama called us this time? Is the organization going to make a big move?" "I don't know, but..." Sasori pondered for a moment. Lord Aizen might have just returned from a parallel world. It's not strange for him to make a big move. Parallel world. The two of them recalled the scene from 8 years ago. They were curious. What did Sir Aizen experience in that world? At this moment, a few puppets flew down from the sky. "Are you Sir Aizen's guests?" Scorpion nodded. The leader said, "Welcome everyone. Please follow me to the castle." Leah approached Scorpion and whispered, "Why do they look so similar to the living puppets you created?" Scorpion looked at him calmly. "Because they are the original form of living puppets." After saying that, he ignored Leah and followed the puppet. This guy was introduced to the Akatsuki by Aizen-sama. Could it be that Hollow already existed at that time? Raiga didn't dare to think about it anymore and hurriedly followed. Before long, the three of them arrived in front of a castle. Sensing their presence, the owner of the castle came out to greet them. "Welcome everyone. I am Otsutsuki Kirito." Seeing this person, the three of them were shocked. Byakugan, there is no caged bird seal on his forehead and he looks familiar. Is he the one who stopped Shimizu Garashi during the 5 Kages tournament? Kirito knew what they were thinking. He didn't explain and just smiled. "Please follow me." The three of them seemed to be stunned as they followed behind him without saying a word. When they reached the second floor and were about to enter the room that he led them to, Leah could not help but ask, "What's your ranking in the organization?" Kisame and Sasori gave him a thumbs up in their hearts and pricked up their ears. Kirito smiled. "3rd to 10th is possible. After all, I'm not good at fighting." "You're not good at fighting? How can you stop Shimizu Garashi?" "I don't believe you." The three of them who didn't know the truth complained in their hearts. Raiga smiled. "Then who is 1st and 2nd? "The 1st is naturally Sir Aizen. As for the 2nd, it's me." A confident voice came from behind them. The three of them looked back and saw a 17 or 18-year-old boy standing behind them. His eyes were as bright as the sun. They were particularly eye-catching. "You are?" "Tonari Otsutsuki." After answering, Tonari looked expectantly to the side. "Father, has Sir Aizen arrived?" Kirito smiled kindly. "Not yet, but he should be here soon." Hearing their conversation, Raiga looked at them suspiciously. Their father and son. Was he just flattering him? Raiga thought subconsciously. Then he saw a young girl with flame-like red hair behind Tonari. He sighed. "I really want to see Sir Aizen as soon as possible." Red hair. The three of them were moved. They instinctively thought of Nagato, who also had red hair. Kirito smiled. Karen, Tonari, let's go in and wait. They opened the door and saw a long table in the middle of the room. The old man with the gas mask and the green-eyed man with the face mask were both sitting upright on the chairs in front of the long table. Raiga greeted them enthusiastically. Kakuzu bro, you're early? Time is money. Kakuzu said coldly. Ah, you're still the same. Raiga sat down beside him, but as soon as he sat down he couldn't stand it anymore. He covered his nose and asked. Bro, how many days have you not taken a bath? Kakuzu said unhappily. I took a bath before I came. Raiga froze. Then your clothes? Kakuzu replied. Oh, it's the same clothes from 8 years ago. Raiga's mouth twitched wildly. You're too thrifty. You're obviously the richest among us. Kakuzu's face became gloomy when he mentioned money. Most of the ninja world is under the surveillance of the Skynet. The underground exchange has been closed for a long time. And now there's electronic trading. I'm an unregistered resident. There's no way I can collect money. Raiga opened his mouth. For someone like Kakuzu who valued money as much as his life, not being able to make money was worse than death. No wonder he couldn't increase his income and had to cut back. While everyone was mourning for Kakuzu, a tall figure suddenly appeared at the head of the table. It seems that everyone is here. Chapter 582. Hearing this, everyone hurriedly stood up from their seats. Aizen, Sama. Aizen smiled. Sit down. Today I've invited everyone here to discuss something. Everyone's expression was serious as they listened attentively. Aizen continued, the Ninja Alliance will soon hold the first ninja tournament. The first ninja tournament. Raiga was surprised. I've never heard of such a thing. Did Aizen-sama place a spy in the Alliance? You've never heard of it? Aizen smiled. Because this proposal hasn't been made yet. It was I who influenced the people under Reikage to make this proposal. They weren't surprised that Aizen-sama could do this, but they were worried, what if this proposal doesn't pass? Wouldn't today's meeting be in vain? Aizen shook his head slightly. This isn't something you need to worry about. What you need to think about now is how to make the organization famous in the tournament. It would be best if you can win the title of the first ninja in the world. Raiga asked nervously, won't we be too arrogant if we participate in the tournament? But before he could finish, Tonari shouted enthusiastically, yes, I will win the tournament. Very good, that's what I want. Aizen nodded and looked at Raiga. Don't worry about being punished afterwards. Since I've decided to go from behind the scenes to the front, I won't let the Alliance be arrogant. With Aizen's words, Raiga was relieved. Haha, we will definitely get a good ranking. However, Aizen shook his head. To be honest, besides Tonari, I don't think you can go far in the tournament. Raiga and the others were surprised. Even Aizen-sama said this. How strong is this boy? Tonari said, Aizen-sama, I alone am enough. They weren't angry, they knew he wasn't arrogant. After all, he even defeated his father. Aizen tapped his fingers on the table. If you are strong, others will only respect you. They won't respect the organization. Only when everyone is strong will the name of the organization be deeply rooted in people's hearts. Li Rin suddenly understood. I was too shallow. Raiga and the others were surprised. Sir Aizen said that he wanted to spread his name, and then he said that he wanted to reach the hearts of the people. It seemed like he really cared about this. But Lord Aizen wasn't the kind of person who cared about fame and reputation. Aizen smiled and took out 10 Shinigami masks. After the chaos in the underworld, he only had 10 of the 26 Shinigami masks left. After returning, he refined them again and added the power of the Hogyoku and the truth-seeking orb. After changing the core of the Jubi, he was now the Jubi's Jinchuriki. Of course, these masks aren't for you to hide your identities. Hearing Aizen's words, everyone laughed. Just like Ghost Mermaid's shark skin and Scorpion's human puppet, such obvious features surely couldn't be covered by a mask. Their first function is to act as an organization's signature. Once they appear in the arena, the others will immediately realize that you are from the same organization. The several people who were once members of Akatsuki organization quickly understood that this was equivalent to the team uniform issued by Akatsuki organization, which was a symbol of their noble status. As for the second function, it's to enhance your strength. Raiga, try it on. Yes. Raiga stepped forward and picked up the mask. It seemed to be made of metal, but it felt smooth and delicate to the touch. Raiga didn't have much time to think as he put it on. The next moment, a powerful chakra entered his body. It was so comfortable that he almost moaned. So strong I feel like I can beat 10 of my old self. Kakuzu's eyes lit up. He didn't need to be urged to put on the mask. It's indeed strong, but it shouldn't be as exaggerated as 10 of my old self, at most 5. The others stepped forward and put on their masks. I feel like I'm as strong as 3 of my old self. Why do I feel like there are only 2? When it was Tonari's turn to put on his mask, 1.1 or 2, I don't feel much. Raiga was overjoyed. Could it be that I've chosen the most powerful mask? Aizen smiled. The masks are all the same. The weaker the person, the greater the enhancement. Raiga's smile froze on his face. He comforted himself. It's okay, this means I still have a lot of room for improvement. The others subconsciously cast their gazes towards Ting Ren. With such a small increase in strength, it meant that his strength alone might be stronger than all of them combined. Ghost Mermaid looked at the 3 masks in front of Aizen and asked curiously, "Are these masks for the people who join later?" Aizen smiled. They already have a master, but it's not convenient to announce it yet. Tonari and Karen's eyes lit up. They understood that Aizen had left these masks for his former friends. Ghost Shark and the others were shocked. It seemed that this wasn't all of Aizen's forces yet. Karen asked expectantly, "Aizen-sama, do we have a famous name when we go out?" Aizen smiled. "Let's call it 10 Blades." 10 blades, 10 weapons? Karen was excited. "I want to be the sharpest weapon in Aizen-sama's hands besides Tonari." "That won't do. I want the name, Second Blade, too." Ghost Shark laughed. Karen said angrily like a child, "I said it first." "This isn't a matter of first come first serve." Ghost Shark said firmly, "Perhaps you admire Aizen-sama, but I have to repay his kindness." Karen pouted, "I thought it was something else." "Uncle Shark, do you think there's anyone here who hasn't received Aizen-sama's kindness?" Kakuzu and Raiga nodded. They remembered how Aizen-sama used the Stone of Grayer to save them. Sasori remembered how Aizen-sama helped him reunite with his family. Seeing the others' reactions, Ghost Merman shook his head and smiled. "I'm too shallow." Aizen knocked on the table. "That's all for today. Use this time to familiarize yourself with the mask's abilities." "Yes." After everyone left, Aizen took out half of the Hogyoku. "With this I can finally go further in the god system. Next I'll use this tournament to spread my name. By the way, I'll let the Alliance know that without a real body, the Alliance is very dangerous. P.S. I originally wrote about Hanzo in the last chapter, but I've changed it." Chapter 583. After putting away the Hogyoku, Aizen used the Flying Thunder God to fly to the floating fortress of the Sky Kingdom. Since he didn't hide his presence, Zero-Tailed, who was controlling the fortress, sensed his arrival and quickly flew out with a flattering smile. "Aizen-sama's arrival is my greatest honor. Your arrival has made the cold moon lively." Aizen laughed. "You are a demon. Where did you learn to flatter me?" Zero-Tailed's expression changed. "Aizen, you can suppress me but you can't insult my dignity. Even if you kill me, it won't change the fact that you are handsome and wise." Zero-Tailed said with righteous indignation. Who knows how his mask-like face could make such a lively expression? Aizen couldn't help but laugh. "Well, it's my fault." Zero-Tailed's tense expression loosened. "Yes, I said I'm the most honest." Zero-Tailed said honest while leading Aizen to the laboratory. In the laboratory, a middle-aged man dressed as a doctor was observing a petri dish attentively. Aizen pushed the door open and greeted him. "Dr. A." This was the new appearance of Hiriko's soul that appeared in this world after changing his appearance. Dr. A put his hands in his pockets and calmly responded. "Aizen-sama." Aizen wasn't angry. He smiled and asked, "Dr. A, how is the pacifier project going?" Speaking of research, Dr. A's cold face flushed red. "With the information you provided, we're only one step away from completing the research." "Very good. But it would be best if you can produce the finished product within a week." Aizen nodded. From the beginning he planned to have Orochi Maru research Artificial Kekii Genkai, Hiriko research Fusion Kekii Genkai, and Sasori research Kekii Genkai. However, he had been in the parallel universe for 8 years. Without him as a communication hub, it was difficult for the 3 to connect their research. It was only a few days after his return that he allowed the 3 of them to summarize the results of their research. "A week?" Dr. A frowned. "I will try my best." Aizen pondered for a moment. If you can't, a semi-finished product will do. The key is to scare people. Bluff? Dr. A muttered. He did not insist on not making defective products. Instead, he nodded slowly. If that's the case, that's not a problem. How many semi-finished products do you need, sir? Let's test the waters with 1,000 sets first. How much? 1,000? Dr. A quickly did some calculations in his mind. 1,000 pacifists in 7 days meant 143 units a day. Even if he worked 24 hours a day, he would have to complete 6 units in an hour. Before he could refuse, Eisen patted his shoulder and said, I believe you can do it. I'll ask Sasori to help you. With someone working overtime with him, Dr. A felt much better. He subconsciously looked at Zero Tail. You? Zero Tail was so scared that its tail stood up. No, I'm just an honest and cute little snake. 5 days later, in the central tower of the Alliance. After Garashi displayed part of the memories of the parallel world in the form of a broadcast in the dream world, the conference room fell silent. After a long while, the conference room gradually filled with the sounds of discussion. Hagoromo Sennin, Otsutsuki Kagaya, Otsutsuki Ichiki? They seemed to be more powerful than the one from 3 years ago. Fortunately, in the war 8 years ago, Madara was suppressed by the leader. Otherwise, we would have to face such a terrible enemy at that time. Although we avoided the misfortune of releasing Otsutsuki Kagaya, a greater disaster is waiting for us. A greater disaster? You mean Eisen? It's him. He played with the world in the palm of his hand. Even that kind of god was enslaved by him. I can't imagine how terrible his true strength is. No, even if he's dangerous, he's still a person of our world. The real enemy is the Otsutsuki. Yes, he's the only one besides the leader who can resist the Otsutsuki. We should try to win him over as much as possible. Damn it, we're too weak. When the enemy comes, do we have to watch the leader fight alone like last time? Garashi coughed twice, and the quarreling crowd instantly quieted down. I told you the experience of the parallel world to raise your vigilance and awareness, but there's no need to panic. The leader is right. I slammed the table and said, the Alliance has been too peaceful these years. The people below have lost their motivation, and the people above are not as calm as before. How can they panic when they hear a little thing? Many people's faces were not very good. Obviously, Raikage's words also included them. Anoki looked over and asked, Raikage-sama, do you have any good suggestions? Fight. A said firmly, only by fighting can we get back the lost part of ourselves. Fight. Raza narrowed his eyes, how do you want to fight? Hold the first ninja conference, call on all people to participate, and use the most exciting battle to awaken the passion in everyone's heart. The first ninja conference, then the name is naturally. Empress Shomiai suddenly said, I understand, the leader is a man of heaven, right? Raikage was speechless. Why didn't the Mizukage follow the rules? He had to say with a sour face. Yes. The first ninja conference in the world? Garashi nodded pretentiously. Using a conference to revive the alliance that has been silent for a long time sounds good. What do you think? Everyone didn't have much resistance, and seeing that Garashi agreed, they naturally didn't object. I have no opinion. I think it's okay. Seeing that no one objected, Garashi said, then let's start the organization. At the same time, in the quiet outer space, 2 figures, one big and one small, were suspended between the meteorites, overlooking the earth below like gods. Is it here? The place where the chakra wave came from 3 years ago. The short man asked arrogantly. It's here, Momoshi-sama. The big man said respectfully. This is the jurisdiction of Ichiki-senpai. Although he hasn't sent any news back to the clan for nearly 1,000 years, it should be more than 10 years before he is officially defined as missing. I don't want to be too arrogant in his territory. Having said that, his expression didn't change at all. Gene, sure, let's go and play on this planet before getting down to business. Yes, Momoshi-sama. Chapter 584. 2 days later, the news of the world's first ninja tournament had spread throughout the ninja world, instantly igniting the enthusiasm of everyone in the alliance. In this world, fame and fortune are 2 words. There are too few people who can resist the temptation of being the first in the world. Thanks to the convenient transportation of trams, even if they were far away, they could still come back in time. For a while, the entire Woodleaf town was full of people coming and going, and the traffic was directly paralyzed. Walking in the crowded crowd, Naruto's little face flushed with excitement. Sasuke, Niji, let's sign up too? Sasuke glanced at him. Where do you think we're going now? Isn't it just the registration point? Is that so? Naruto laughed awkwardly. There are too many people, I can't see it. Niji's eyes were like fire. I don't want to be the first in the world, but I must enter the top 16. Sasuke looked back and forth suspiciously. Why are you putting your hands on your waist? Are you trying to cover up a certain action? Niji's current action was a bit similar to that of Sasuke 3 years ago, which made him feel offended. Naruto rubbed his chin. Speaking of which, I haven't seen Niji this week. Niji was angry. What are you two bastards thinking? Sensei said that the Hyuga clan's taijutsu is inherited from the Otsutsuki clan's taijutsu. He also told me to break down the target so that I can reach that field. I was too eager to succeed and accidentally twisted my waist, so I'm resting at home. Really? Naruto and Sasuke asked in unison. I don't believe it, written on their faces. Niji said earnestly. I know what you two perverts are thinking, but it's not what you think. I'm a ninja who specializes in taijutsu. How could I twist my waist because of that kind of thing? Hearing Niji's words, Naruto and Sasuke nodded thoughtfully. It seemed to be the case. In terms of physical strength, how could Tien compare with a strong taijutsu like Niji? They must be thinking too much. Thinking of this, both of them were a little ashamed. Their thoughts were too impure. At this moment, Naruto's phone rang. Is it Taishin? Looking at the caller ID, Naruto answered the phone without thinking much. Oh, Ningji didn't bring his phone out? Yes, he's with us. Tell Ningji to buy some tiger penis and bull penis back. No problem, I will definitely inform them. After hanging up the phone, the three of them fell into a strange silence. Ha, women are so troublesome. Ningji laughed awkwardly and waved his hand. By the way, where were we? You're going to sign up, right? Then let's hurry over. I still have to go back to wash clothes and cook later. Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other and saw the fear in each other's eyes. Is marriage so scary? When the three of them arrived at the registration point, there was already a long, winding queue. The three of them sighed dejectedly. Just as they were about to line up, they realized that the person in front of them had turned into smoke and exploded after registering. Naruto clapped his hands. You can use a clone to line up. Sasuke nodded. That's much easier. However, the two of them felt their clothes being pulled. They turned their heads and saw Ningji looking at them with pleading eyes. Using a clone will inevitably lead to accidents, and it will seem that we're not sincere enough. Let's line up with our real bodies. What did we do to our child? The two of them sighed and patted him on the shoulder. Okay, let's use our real bodies. Ningji couldn't help but burst into tears. Good brother. The three of them lined up at the end of the line, moving forward with the line while discussing the hot topics of the conference. Naruto said, there's no need to mention the 5 Kages. Just our Wood Leaf clan alone has Uchiha, Hyuga, Sarutobi, Inoshikacho, and many other big clans. There are too many strong people. Sasuke proudly said, of the top 32, Uchiha will reserve 4 seats. Ningji asked, I wonder if there will be people outside the alliance participating? Although the alliance has spread across most of the ninja world, I heard that there were still some stubborn people who didn't want to merge with the major ninja villages. As time passed, the three of them reached the front of the line. At this time there was a noise in front of them. The three of them looked out and saw a man with a scythe behind him making trouble. Hey, let me cut the line, I'm a jonin. Idiot, 9 out of 10 people who dare to sign up here are jonins. Damn, even jonins are so common now. The young man with the scythe cursed a few times and asked, then let's discuss, stab me and change positions? The jonin who was hit on was shocked. Are you crazy? Looking at the farce in front of him, Naruto asked curiously, that's the repeater senpai, right? Did he graduate? He should have graduated, right? Ningji wasn't sure. How can he be a jonin if he didn't graduate? That's not necessarily true. Sasuke squinted. Maybe he was cheated by someone who sold fake certificates. People who fight will be disqualified, so the man didn't dare to make a move. Finally, he was annoyed by Haiden. Okay, come in front of me. However, before he finished speaking, he was pulled by the person behind him. It's your business if you want to give up your position to him. After you change your position, go out and line up again. The jonin who said he wanted to give up his position had a bad look on his face. Looking back, he saw a boy with pale skin behind him. Kid, do you know what you're talking about? I'm talking about rules. Before he could refute, the jonin was wrapped by an invisible force and directly sent to the end of the line. Fighting will get you expelled, but this process naturally can't be called a fight. Everyone who was waiting to watch a good show was shocked. Although that person wasn't a very powerful character, he was still a jonin. Yet he was caught without any resistance. They didn't even understand how the other party did it. For a while, everyone looked at him with eyes full of fear. However, the fair-skinned boy didn't care about other people's eyes at all. He just smiled and looked at the registration staff. "Can I sign up?" The staff hurriedly nodded. "Of course, what's your name?" "Tonari Otsutsuki." After that, Tonari suddenly looked up at the sky until the staff called him, then lowered his head and continued to sign up. In the space mezzanine, 2 people appeared. With this kind of vigilance as a freshman, Otsutsuki is not bad. Mamoshiki's expression was playful, and his eyes were full of greed as he looked at Tonari. Jinshi's expression was serious. The birth of every Otsutsuki consumes a lot of chakra. The chakra on this planet is too active. After all, this is fertile land that hasn't been harvested for 1,000 years. It's inevitable that it's a little plentiful. These walking chakras seem to be waving at me, making my heart itch. Mamoshiki licked the corner of his mouth. Especially that newborn kid, there shouldn't be his name in the clan, right? Of course not, Jinshi said. Although it's forbidden in the clan to devour each other, nameless barbarians are not included. Mamoshiki laughed. It's really lucky that such a wild Otsutsuki can be found by me. Jinshi asked carefully, "Mamoshiki-sama, what do you want?" Mamoshiki looked at the outside world contemptuously. Didn't that kid want to show off in front of these inferior creatures? Then let's join in and let him have a taste of the dimensional reduction attack. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.